All right, Shalawam family. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, all glory, and all honor unto the Most High God, whose name is Yahawah. Of course, I do so in the name of His only begotten Son, Yahawashi, Yahawashi of the world. You know what He calls Jesus Christ. It's your brother, Archaeology, and you guys, you guys are in for a treat, right? You guys are in for a treat, and not the munchies type of treat, right? You're in for, right, a good serving, a good helping of the bread of life of the Word of God. All right. So this is a very important topic, right? Very, very important topic, especially here in these last and evil days, right? In this world that's in utter darkness, right? Shabbat Shalom to all the Sabbath, lunar Sabbath keepers, right? Here in the East Coast. We got about an hour left here on the Shabbat. Right, last night was new moon. So as many of you guys know, we observe this Shabbat in accordance to the lunar phases as we do the rest of the feast days, right? So before we get into lesson, I'm not going to do any plugs right now because, again, it's the Shabbat. Looks like we have a pothead already in the chat. If smoking weed is a sin, so is drinking liquor. Blackamore 711. I would love for you to stick around through the end of the live, right? And to actually sit and take notes, right? Because listen, brother, you know what I mean? I used to be a pothead like many of our people, right? And listen, guys, let me tell you, I used to pearl some of the best blunts imaginable, and man, that was an amazing feat to me, right? But when I was taught the fear of Yahawah, right, and when I was taught the fear of the Most High God Yahawah, right, the King of Terrors, Allah Shadia, right, and when I realized the error of my ways, I repented and I stopped smoking marijuana, right? So, the crazy thing is the Most High God commands us to drink liquor in the Bible. Nowhere in the Bible does He command you to roll any plant into a blunt, to put into a pipe, to put into any apparatus and to burn it and smoke it and inhale it. And before any of you silly Negroes, right, you silly potheads say, well, what about incense? Incense are not herbs, right? Frankincense and myrrh, not herbs. They're resin, not herbs. So we already are off to we're already off to an amazing start, of course, dealing with the children of God, right? The children of Israel who are just revolting and gone away backwards, as you guys have always done. There's no new thing under the sun. Okay. But you guys, make sure you guys like and share the video. Shout out to all the regulars here. Listen, there's only 53 people watching right now, and that's fine, right? If the thumbnail was something different, right? If it had the faces of your favorite leaders and teachers on it, oh, you guys would be in here eating it up, right? But that's Israel for you. Want to shout out the sister Naziyar here in the chat, as well as her husband, the brother Yashar. They sent my wife and I a beautiful crochet blanket for our son, our unborn son, Yahawah. And I want to thank that sister and that brother for just an amazing and beautiful gift. So all praise to the Most High. Shout out to the sister Naziyar, right, and her husband, the brother Yashar. All praise to the Most High. All right. Yeah, sister's cold with the crochet. She's cold with it. Listen, brother Quadzop, listen, Say it louder for those in the back, right? Say it louder for those in the back of the classroom. Say no to drugs, guys. Say no to pharmakios, sorcery, witchcraft. Say no to witchcraft. All right. So without further ado, let me get my screen shared here in just a bit. All right. Before we dive into this, guys, if you can, please make sure that you guys continue to support the sister Masala, right? Please support her and Alazar's children, right? So the GoFundMe should be in the description if I'm not mistaken, but we'll go ahead here and put the link here in the chat. Right, link here in the chat. Right now, we are simulcasting this this live from the House of Bread YouTube channel. So if you have not, right, if you have not subscribed to the House of Bread YouTube channel, I don't know what you're doing. Right, if you want to watch, you know, our street teachings, you know, other lives and other lessons, right? That's going to be the place that you guys want to get some great edification as well, right? So the link to the channel should be here, right? The link to the channel should be here in the description of every video, right? Make sure you guys subscribe to the House of Bread, right? By Yahawah, House of Bread Camp on YouTube at House of Bread Camp. So link is in the description, fresh link here in the chat. So shout out to Sister Lauren King. She said, Shalawam family, looking forward to this lesson because this was definitely one of the toughest things my husband and I had to shake coming into the truth. All praise to the Most High. Right. And you know, it's so funny that you say that, sis, for years, right? Like I said, I was a major pothead, right? I first smoked weed when I was 15 years old, right? I was hanging out with my cousins, right? And apparently I was doing it wrong. And they took the blunt from me and they told me I was wasting the weed, right? I wasn't doing it right. And I essentially got high off contact, right? And you know, we're going to dive into some into the Hebrew language. We're going to dive into etymology. We're going to dive into archaeology, right? And we're going to dive into, you know, the law and of course biblical prophecy, right? To demonstrate how smoking weed is a sin, and not only a sin, that it is a sin unto death. Okay, so between the first and second time that I engaged in, you know, the smoking of marijuana, you know, like I said, the first time I was 15 years old, I was with my cousins, and the second time was on my senior trip when I was in high school, and the third time was my last day of school. So my senior trip of high school had to be around February of 2010. My last day of high school was May 10th, 2010. Why do I remember that date? I don't know. But you know, it was the last day of school for the seniors, and we got out early. And I remember going, me and a bunch of my friends going to my boy's crib down the street, and we had a good old, not a good old, right? At the time, I thought it was a good old smoke sesh. And man, from that point on, that's when I really, you know, essentially jumped off the porch, you know, jumped off Yahawah's porch, and you know, started to engage in the sorcery and the witchcraft and the idolatry that is associated with the smoking of marijuana. And we're going to prove that through biblical archaeology, biblical prophecy, and the law. Okay. Good point, Sister Nazir. Listen, that Listen, first and foremost, most of the marijuana that all the loud that brothers and sisters love to tote, you know what I mean? It is it's genetically modified. And genetically modified fruits and vegetables are not good, right? Nor is genetically modified herbs, right? You can get genetically modified cilantro. I don't know. You can get genetically modified any type of plant, right? And it's not good for you, right? So, really great point, sister. So now you may be asking, well, what prompted this lesson? And this is not to throw the brother under the bus, right? This is to truly bring some correction to things that have been said on the internet. So on Facebook this week, right? So this is a good brother of mine, right? I know this brother. The brother does not smoke weed, for the record. And the brother made this post the other day, and it said, burning cannabis isn't the worship of the Hindu god Shiva. There's evidence showing it being burnt by the Chinese during funerals in China before being adopted into Hinduism. And that may be true. I didn't look into whether that's true or not. But, regardless, right, this is what the brother said. Right, shout out to my brother Deacon here in the comments. He says, are y'all saying smoking weed, heroin, cocaine is not a sin? And the brothers are not. They're saying, the brother goes on to say more about the topic. He says, if a difference in understanding or opinion leads people who once called you kin to cut you off, and you haven't ever disrespected them, they was never solid. So I guess people are up in arms about the brother making that post. Then he goes on to say that there is no prohibition of smoking tobacco in Torah if there is post the scripture, right? So there is prohibition, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe it was said cannabis before. I think the brother may have. I'm not sure, right? Not sure for 100%. If that post may have said, cannabis, but it's neither here nor there, right? The brother also calls 1 Corinthians 10, 23 to 29. All things are lawful for me, but all things are not expedient. All things are lawful for me, but all things edify not. So basically, the fact that just because something could potentially be lawful does not mean it is expedient. An example of that, right? Is it lawful for a man to have multiple wives? Yes. Is it expedient for every brother to have multiple wives? No. Right? One of the poster childs for polygyny has demonstrated his inadequacy and his inability to even maintain a home, right? The man has never had a successful marriage, not once, right? Now, polygyny in itself is not the issue. The issue with that particular individual in question is his inherent evil, right? Because I know brothers who are engaged in polygyny, and I've seen them deal with it in righteousness, right? The same way I've seen righteous monogamous couples and I've seen unrighteous monogamous couples, right? So this scripture, the brother's using it and attesting to the fact that, again, just because something is lawful does not make it wise or expedient, right? However, smoking of marijuana is a sin, and we're going to demonstrate that through the spirit and power of Yahawah, basham Yahawashi, all right, in just a bit, okay? So put a 1 in the chat if you've ever, actually put a 1 in the chat if you currently smoke marijuana. Let's see who's honest. Put a 1 in the chat if you currently smoke marijuana, or if you've smoked marijuana within the last, I don't know, let's say 30 to 90 days, last 3 months. Right, put a 2 in the chat if you do not smoke marijuana. Let's see who's going to be honest. The first part of healing is admitting one's fault. The first step to getting healed is going to the doctor and getting a diagnosis, right? All right, so the brother Tamim Blends, right? The brother Nazir Smith, right? Ruben Beeson. So these brothers are honest, right? So again, just to be clear, 1 in the chat if you have smoked weed within the last 30 to 90 days, right? 2 in the chat if you have not, right? Brother Gary's being honest. All praise to the Most High, right? Put a 3 in the chat if you used to smoke weed and you put down the blunt. Let me get hashtag put down the blunt in the comments, right? Put hashtag put down the blunt in the chat and in the comments. Again, put a 3 in the chat if you used to smoke weed. Right. Again, guys, listen, I was a top chiefer, okay? Top. Listen, you could have called me Chief Keef, okay? Me and my partners, listen, man, what? It's horrible. When I came to understand the truth of the matter, right? You know, you have to be disgusted by it, right? So, you know, I actually used to have 2 Edomite roommates who were also my coworkers, and let me tell you, it was at my worst in terms of dibbling and dabbling, right? Literally dibbling and dabbing, right? Listen, guys, when I tell you I was a top pothead, right? I would wake up, smoke. I would wake and bake, right? I would go to work, right? At the time, I was a real estate agent, and I worked for an investment brokerage at the time, and we sold distressed real estate assets to investors. So at this time, right? At that time, right, I would wake up, smoke, right, hit like a bowl real quick, you know what I mean, or finish off a roach or something like that, right? I would go to work, right? We would have morning meetings on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays to go over, the deals in our pipeline and whatnot. I would, get out of that meeting. I would start looking for properties on the market, I mean, follow up on buyers and, sellers that I have been conversing with on deals. I will put together a run, right, where I will go out and look at properties. I will come home for lunch. I would smoke, right, eat lunch, right, go back out, look at properties. After looking at properties, come back home. So sometimes go back to the office, put in offers, come back home, all right, after I went on my run, and then I would smoke again, right? So, guys, and I tell you that at my worst, it was a problem. Now, when I was in college, right, there were times where, listen, now, look what the sister Chef Kai said. Oh, I used to be at work in the clouds. I'm glad you said that word, clouds. Put a pin in that word, clouds. We're going to dive into that word very, very soon. Okay. So, I remember me and my roommates, right? My one roommate, right, from the shore, New Jersey, right? My other roommate, Edomite, born and raised in Colorado, right? Now, I mean, we went on a company trip. Listen, guys, I was such a pothead. I even smoked weed with the CEO of my company at the time, right? My the CEO of my company, the man is a multimillionaire, right? Edomite, right? And you know, I remember I smoked a blunt with him, right? But me and my roommates, right? We both have all three of us. We went on a trip to the home office of our company for a training, and we literally stayed at our CEO's house, right? Let me tell you, Esau was living it up. Esau took us on the town, right? We was in the club, all types of stuff, right? And you know, we all three of us, like I said, we were roommates and co-workers, and we would roll what we call Louisville sluggers, right? A Louisville slugger, for anyone who doesn't know, is a brand of baseball bats, right? So at this point, see, I thought I was being, wise. I thought I was, you gotta smoke clean, bro. You gotta smoke clean, right? See the papers. See, they're cleaner. They're made out of hemp. It's cleaner than using the tobacco. Getting the Fonto, right? Getting the cigarello, or getting a blunt, right? Or getting a backwood, right? So I thought I elevated to smoking cleaner, which makes zero sense, right? The reason why you cough when you ingest smoke into your lungs is because your lungs are not designed to inhale smoke of any sort, right? So this goes to show the perverseness, the twisting, right, of the turning of things upside down that's in the minds of many of our people, right? The papers don't make you cough. Let me tell you something. I had two roommates, right? We used to match. You know what I mean? Used to match. Go. You know what I mean? To have a good old cipher, good old split session, something like that. And my roommates, they used to smoke backwards, and I tell you, I hated backwards. Always did, right? And like, because it would just hit your chest just so hard, because again, smoke is not supposed to be in your lungs. When there's a fire, right? People die in fires from asphyxiation from the smoke inhalation before they get burnt, because guys, smoke does not belong in your lungs. But right now we're just talking anecdotally, right? We haven't dived into the Bible. We haven't dived into the archaeology, right? And the history, right? So pay attention, stay with me, right? So, we used to roll these things what we call Louisville sluggers, right? So we would take I forgot the brand, but we would get our papers, right? And what we would do is we would actually take half of one paper, right, and attach it to the other paper, right? And we would get the little cardboard joint, you put it in to roll a cone, right? And what we would do is we would roll that in straight gas, what they would call straight gas, right? And what we would do is we would roll the outside of the joint, right, of the Louisville slugger, right, in wax, right? So you ever heard of, taking a dab, right? So a dab would be concentrated THC wax, right? Which you would have to, if you're smoking, doing dabs, right, you would have to get like this bong or any type of, glass apparatus, right? Would have water in it, right? You would have typically either a ceramic nail, or what they call a nail. It's not an actual nail. You have a ceramic, either ceramic or a titanium, what they call it's been so long, nail, right? It's not an actual like nail that you hammer, right? So you would have it into your bong or whatever pipe or smoking apparatus, right? And you would use a torch. You would use a torch and you would heat it up, like blast that thing with heat and turn blue, like this extremely hot. And you would take a little, let's say, something like a little stick, little metal stick, a dabber, right? And you will get the little concentrated THC wax, and you will put it around the hot titanium or ceramic nail, and you would inhale, right? And when I tell you, you would just get ripped, blasted, right? You would literally be in the clouds, as the sister Chef Kai put it, right? So when I tell you I was a pothead, guys, I was a pothead, right? I had bongs, I had bowls, I had a whole rolling tray, right? I would take my grinder, right? I will grind weed, right? Put a quarter in the part where it catches the leaf, right? The weed, right? And I would shake it. I would put it in the freezer, right? Because what would happen is it would doing that would allow for the keef, right? Which has the most THC, right? And you would shake it up, and all of your keef will fall down into your keef catcher, right? So what we would do is we would roll this Louisville Slugger, right? This long extended joint about that long, right? And we would roll the outside of it in wax, and then roll that wax in keef. And we would listen. What? I remember the first time we did it, like we could not finish it because it was that crazy, right? Between 3 grown men. And we would just be floating in the clouds, like the sister said. So again, this is to show you guys that, hey, guess what? I've been here before, right? I once was consumed by that demon, but guess what? I was healed, right? Through the spirit and power of Yahawah, shanyam-ishar. Shout out to my brothers, only the same. Shalom, Shalawam, Akia, right? So now let's let's dive into this, right? So first, let me actually this boom. Let's go to the book of we're gonna go to the book of Isaiah, chapter 8 and verse 20. It reads, to the law, the Torah, and the testimony, which would be the prophets. If they speak not according to this word, it is because there is no light in them. Well, if you guys watch the Eternal Life video, we dove into what light is, what our light is. It's the law of God, Baruch 4:1, right? Proverbs 6 and 23. Let's get that real quick. Proverbs 6 and verse 23. It says, for the commandment is a lamp, and the law is light, and the reproofs of instructions are the way of life, right? So the law of God is supposed to reprove us, to correct us, and it's supposed to be our instructions in the way that we're supposed to live, right? So we're going to dive into the laws that are being broken when you're engaging in the smoking of marijuana, right? The smoking of crack cocaine, the smoking of heroin, the smoking of any of this stuff, right? We're going to dive into this, right? So now, let's go to the book of Isaiah chapter 2, right? Isaiah chapter 2, right? Laws of gardening, right? I'm not sure if you are a proponent for the smoking of marijuana, right? Yes, the Most High God brought forth grass and herb yielding seed, right? But it was for to eat, not to roll in a blunt and smoke, right? Niggas don't roll up don't dry out cilantro, right? And roll cilantro in a backwood and smoke it. You don't do that. But you do that with THC because you want to be that. You want to be in the clouds. That's what you want to do. You want to be in the clouds. All right. All right. So let's get this guy out of here. All right. Let's ban this person. Laws of gardening. Pay attention. Stop chatting in the chat and pay attention. Okay. So now let's look at Isaiah chapter 2. It says, the word of Isaiah, the son of Amos, saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem, right? And just to give us a little context, let's go to the previous chapter to see the cultural backdrop of when the prophet Isaiah prophesied. So it says, Isaiah 1, it says, the vision of Isaiah, the son of Amos, which he saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem in the days of Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, keep that, this name is important, Ahaz, and Hezekiah, kings of Judah. This is the days in which he prophesied, right? It says, hear, O heavens, and give ear, O earth, for Yahawah hath spoken. I have nourished and brought up children, and they have rebelled against me. How have we rebelled? By not keeping God's commandments. Don't you worry. I'm going to show you all the laws that you are breaking when you smoke marijuana, right? And I'm not going to go to Genesis 1:29 to say every herb-bearing seed for meat. Yes, every herb-bearing seed for meat, right? You can eat herbs, right? That doesn't mean that every herb on the planet you can eat, for the record, right? Can you eat poison ivy? No, you cannot. So, people take that and they run with it, because guess what, guys? I did it too. I remember being in, guys, I've gone to church, in the Christian church high before. I remember two of the pastors at Epiphany Fellowship, right? Pastor Larry and Pastor Kirk, I believe his name was, right? They had got on me because I gave one of the girls in my life group, I think what I gave them. I think it was, I gave them some CBD balm for like pain, right? Which I was getting from my chiropractor. And they tried to rebuke me, and like, oh, do you smoke? And I said, yeah, I smoke weed. They tried to rebuke me. And I'm like, the Bible says in Genesis 1:29, I give you herb-bearing seed for meat, right? I used to use that as an excuse, right? But I'm not going to go there to demonstrate how you're breaking the laws of God, right? I'm going to, trust me, just pay attention, right? You don't know what you're talking about. So now, right? So we're looking at the cultural backdrop of the prophet Isaiah when he prophesied. He prophesied during the times, during the reign of kings Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah, the kings of Judah. It says, hear, O heavens, and give ear, O earth, for Yahawah has spoken. I have nourished and brought up children that have rebelled against me. The ox knoweth his owner, and the ass his master's crib, but Israel doth not know. My people do not consider. Sinful nation, a people laden with iniquity, a seed of evildoers, right? So let's see this really quickly. Let me see. Okay, bottom. Check this out, right? So boom, let's look at the word for iniquity, right? I'm going to be doing a lesson, Lord willing, on iniquity, transgression, right? We got the word for iniquity, is the Hebrew word iwan, right? It says it means iniquity, right? It's translated as iniquity, punishment, fault, iniquities, mischief, sin, right? It says perversity, depravity, iniquity, guilt, or punishment of iniquity. Looking at the definition, it says perversity, i.e. moral, evil, fault, iniquity, mischief, punishment. So let's look at the etymological root. It goes back to the word iwa, right? Iwa is a verb, and it means perversely, amiss, crooked, right? And it goes on to say to bend or twist or to distort. So what I was doing is I was distorting and twisting, wresting the word of God, wresting the laws of God to justify my perverted understanding. That's what iniquity is, right? Sin is the transgression of the law. We went into this on last week's class on fringes, how there's two types of fringes, 2 jots, 2 tittles that you must keep. You must live by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of God. So when God told you to wear fringes, zit, with a ribbon of blue throughout your generations, if you don't wear them every day, then you are in iniquity. Because your generation today, you were one yesterday, you'll be one tomorrow. Throughout your generations, you wear zit, and these are the zit with a ribbon of blue. Gadolium, which are a completely different word, different commandment. No mention of blue, not a single mention of a ribbon of blue, right? It's a completely different jot or tittle, right? So transgression, we went into that, is to step over, to step across, right? To cross the line, right? You got the so-called home of the truth there, They have the cross the line radio. These niggas literally teach to cross the line, to break the law each and every day, right? This is what these niggas do. Evil, right? And they'll justify their evil, right, by going to the law and going to Bible verses, and they twist and pervert them because they're engrossed in iniquity, right? Iniquity. So if sin, which is a transgression of the law, let's say that's a cut, right? Iniquity would be a putrefying sore, a cut that you did not heal, right? That you did not wash out, right? That you did not dress, that you did not put ointment on, right? That you just allowed to fester and to become just disgusting and full of pus, right? That's what iniquity is, right? So the prophet Isaiah is telling us here, right? It says, sinful people, a nation, a people laden, just covered in iniquity, in gross putrefying sores, a seed of evildoers, children that are corrupters. They have forsaken Yahawah. They have provoked the Holy One of Israel unto anger. They are gone away backward. Why would you be stricken anymore? You will revolt more and more. The whole head is sick and the whole heart faint. Right? Because it starts with the leaders. And this is why I've been rebuking the leaders. I've been bringing, light to the fact that the elders and the leaders of this community have been full of literal shit. Right? Sister Shelly Burt, thawadath, Barakath, Yahawashi, shanyam-ishar for your continuous support, sister. May the Most High God bless you 100, 1,000-fold. All right? So let's get back into it, right? So again, just to give you the cultural context of when the prophet Isaiah prophesied. So now, right, this whole chapter, Isaiah is my favorite prophet, right? Ask any brother that's living with me, I'm always going to the book of Isaiah, right? After Isaiah, I'm probably going to Daniel next, right? Great understanding through two of these great major prophets, and it just so happens that they're both Judites, right? The other two major prophets, Ezekiel and Jeremiah, are Levites, right? So Isaiah starts off his rebuke of the nation of Israel, his prophesying, just this, bro, spraying a block up, right? Just rebuking the hell out of Israel, just pointing out how evil our people are, right? And again, when we look in the context, right, it says that we have revolt. We don't know our master's crib. We don't know where our owner's home is, right? Why? Because we're following after strangers. We're following after the other nations who the Most High God told us in Deuteronomy 7:6 that we are above all nations, that we are supposed to be a holy and separate and set apart people, right? So now let's go to Isaiah chapter 2. It says, the word of Isaiah, the son of Amos, saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem. And it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of Yahawah's house shall be established in the top of the mountains, and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow unto it. Right? Talking about the temple. Right? Mountains also represent nations. Right? We're going to be the supreme nation, and all of the other nations, they're going to flow unto us. Right? To come where? To learn of our God, to learn of our ways. Right? Instead of us learning of their ways. Right? It says, and many people shall go and say, come ye, and let us go up to the mountain of Yahawah, to the house of the God of Jacob. Instead of us going to the house of their gods, they're going to be coming to the house of our God, Yahawah. And he will teach us of his ways. Who's the he right here? Jacob, us, the Israelites, right? We will have to teach the heathen of our ways instead of us learning their ways, because their ways is not wisdom. Right? Deuteronomy chapter 4 lets us know that from verse 5 to 7, 8, that the law, statutes, commandments is our wisdom and our understanding in the sight of the nations that shall see us and see how great our society is, see how magnificent and wonderful our laws, right, our ways are. And they say, wow, this is such a wise and understanding people. People that have God so nigh unto them. Right? Zechariah 8:23 says that 10 men out of all the languages of the nations, which just represents completion, will take hold of the skirt of him that is in Jew and say, we will come with you because we heard God is with you, right? This is a future prophecy, right? So Isaiah snaps on Israel, right? He cries aloud, he spares not, he lifts up his voice like a trumpet, and he shows his people their transgression. He points out, sinful people, a sinful nation, a people laden, just covered, slathered in iniquity, just covered in putrefying sores, because they're committing transgressions and they're not cleaning their wounds. He says in Isaiah 1, he says, wash you, make you clean, put away the evil of your doings. When you are rolling up blunts, you are doing evil and you are following the ways of the heathen, right? Buckle up and stay along with me, right? We're going to keep on going, right? So he goes and says, it says, and he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. Again, instead of us walking in their paths. Their paths are crooked. Their paths are not correct. The path that the Most High God gave us through his Torah, that's the proper path that we need to walk. It says, we will walk in his path, for out of Zion shall go forth the law, the Torah, and the word of Yahawah from Jerusalem. And he shall judge among the nations, and shall rebuke many people. And they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift the sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. Right? So this is what's going to happen when we, what? Verse 5. O house of Jacob, come ye, and let us walk in the light of Yahawah, which is what? The law. Okay, we have to walk in the law of Yahawah, right? It said, therefore, thou hast forsaken thy people, the house of Jacob, because they are replenished from the east. They are soothsayers. Pay attention, right? The sister Chef Kai said, I used to be in the clouds. We're going to take a look at this word soothsayer. It says, and are soothsayers like who? The Philistines. And they please themselves in the children of strangers. So let's actually read this in a different translation, right? I want to read this in the NLT. For Yahawah has rejected his people, the descendants of Jacob, because they have filled their land with the what? The practices of the east, right? And with sorcerers, as the Philistines do. They have made alliances with pagans, right? You know, let's look at the NIV, right? Yahawah have abandoned your Yahawah have abandoned your people, the descendants of Jacob. They are full of superstitions from the east. Hey, bro, you can't split the pole. Don't split the pole. Oh, bro. Oh, don't do. You gotta tap the bottle. You gotta bless the bottle, bro. Superstitions, right? Oh, bro, don't do that with the blunt. It says they are full of superstitions from the east. They practice divination like the Philistines. Practice divination like the Philistines and embrace pagan customs. So we're going to demonstrate how smoking marijuana is a pagan custom, right? Because guess what? The soothsayers, right? Balaam from Mesopotamia. Where's Mesopotamia in reference to Israel? Oh, it's to the east, right? The Philistines, who Goliath, the 5 lords of the Philistines, right? They had these different cities, Ascalon, you had Gath, right? What are the other cities? Right, there's a plethora of Philistine cities. Give me a second. Philistines. The Philistines. Oh, it's fine. Gath is one of them. Right, boom. So here are the cities, right? The core Philistine territories were Ashdod, Ashkelon, Gath, Ekron, right? Those were the main ones. But there was a total of 5 major cities of the Philistines. And they had 5 lords or rulers of those cities, right? So pay attention to Gath, right? Gath is where Goliath is from, right? Gath is where Goliath is from. So we're going to dive into this word for soothsayer in just a bit, right? And then we're going to dive into some archaeology, right? Concerning the Philistines, right? So put a 1 in the chat if you're tracking along with me, right? If there's, if I'm moving too fast, or if it's something that you need me to repeat or you don't fully understand, right? Put a 2 in the chat. 1 if you guys are good. 2 if you guys need me to slow down and or repeat something. Oh wow! If you drop the blunt, that means your girl is. I didn't hear that. I never heard that one. Sound like some superstitious nonsense that a Negro would say. Laws of gardening. Stop talking in my chat, please. Stop giving the sacrifices of fools, please. For the love of God, stop giving the sacrifice of fools. I know you can't help but bang your fingers on the keyboard, right? Say whatever it is that you want to say in your mind, right? But don't translate it to typing it on the keyboard or tapping your thumbs on your screen. Thank you very much, sir or madam. So here we are. Let's look at this word for soothsayers, right? It's the Hebrew word ainan, right? So let's take a look. Let's look at how it's translated. It's a verb, right? It says observer of times, soothsayer, bring, sorceress, enchanter, right? Ainan, a primitive root to cover, used only as the nominative of Strong's H6051, to cloud over. Let's take a look at this word. What's it say? Ainan, right? Cloud, cloudy, right? Let's look at this etymological root. Ainan again, right? Again, so they're both connected, right? Same word, right? So boom. So the word for soothsayer is ainanium, right? Ainanium. This is where I was. Go back to here. Boom. So if we go here to back to the word for Philistines, right? Let's take a look at. It says wa ainanium, right? It says wa ainanium ka palashafium, right? They are soothsayers like the Philistines. They are soothsayers like the Philistines. They are ainanium ka palashafium. Ka means as the Philistines. Okay, so now let's go back into this word ainanium. Okay, and again, it's translated as observer of times, soothsayer, bring, sorceress, enchanter. Right. So let's look at how where this word is used. Right. Genesis 9:14. And it shall come to pass when I bring a cloud over the earth that the bow shall be seen in the cloud. Right. So talking about the rainbow. It's seen in what? In the cloud. Where are the clouds? In the heavens. Up high. Right. When niggas get high, what are they? They are blowing clouds. Right. We used to huff and puff. Right. I used to let the smoke come out. I would inhale the smoke from out of my mouth, in my nose, do all types of smoke tricks, right? We used to blow O's, all of that, right? I used to blow clouds. That's literally what people say in smoking pothead weed culture. Clouds. Oh, we in the clouds. I'm on cloud 9. It's all connected, guys, right? It gets better. Watch. Listen. Let's see where else this word is used. Leviticus 19:26. Ye shall not eat anything with the blood, neither shall ye use enchantment, nor observe times. It's the same word, Strong 6049, ainan. Don't observe times. Don't be like a soothsayer of the Philistines. We're going to dive into the practices of the Philistines and demonstrate how our people, right, during the time of Ahaz, right, they were following the ways of the Philistines. They were following the ways of the heathen, right? Setting up high places where they were doing what? Getting high in the clouds, being soothsayers. Let's keep going. Deuteronomy 18:10. Therefore shall not be there shall not be found among you anyone that maketh his son or his daughters to pass through the fire. So what we're seeing here is that the association with idolatry in observing times, being an enchanter and being a witch, because that's literally how the heathen worship their gods, right? What does it mean to pass your son through the fire? Like, I've been into I've been diving heavily lately into biblical archaeology, right? There's a few archaeology channels that I follow on YouTube, and I'm actually going to be starting a series entitled "The Earth Helped the Woman," right? The Earth being, a double entendre, right? We're the woman. We're supposed to be in heaven. We're supposed to be above, right? But the earth would be the heathen that beneath them, right? But also, in the sense of archaeology, the earth, the heathen who have been the vanguards of archaeology, right? It's all these archaeologists, all this archaeological evidence that I'm about to go into. The heathen, the basis of human beings, the white man, the basis, the lowest. He's the one unearthing all of these things in the earth because he is the earth. We are the heavens. And their archaeological unearthings help us, the woman, to understand our God and our place in the cosmos, right? Our place in life, our place as the sons and daughters of the only one and true and living God. All right. So let's see where else this is used, right? So Leviticus, Deuteronomy 18 and verse 10, right? Verse 14, it goes, so we're going to read this in context, right? Let's go here. Deuteronomy 18, in verse 10, there shall not be found among you anyone that maketh his son or his daughter to pass through the fire, right? I was speaking about the archaeology, right? There's an archaeologist who has a YouTube channel that I follow. And let me tell you, there's a lot of amazing evidence that I've discovered, a lot of mysteries that I have, been able to, come to understand a little further through studying of archaeology, right? Of course, all through the spirit and power of Yahawah, shanyam-ishar, right? So the gentleman, he had a video where he literally takes a tour of people and they go to a Canaanite high place. And in this Canaanite high place, they found in jars all over the site the remains of babies as young as a few months, right? They found the remains of like a 9-year-old girl who was sawed in half on an altar to one of their gods, right? And the evidence lends to the idea that that young girl was alive when they sawed her in half. These are the practices of the heathen. These are the practices. This is why the Most High God told us not to follow, right? Here we see here, all throughout the law, we're told not to follow the ways of the Canaanites, right? Leviticus 18, right? Don't follow the ways of the Canaanites and whose land you're going to possess, and don't follow the ways of the Egyptians whose land you were just dwelling in, right? So here we are in Deuteronomy 18 and verse 10. It goes on to say, or useth divination, right? Or an observer of times. And when we look at the word, right, that's translated here as observer of times is the word einanium, which goes back to the root cloud, right? Sorcery, witchcraft, being an enchanter, an observer of times, an enchanter, a witch, right? It goes on to say, or an observer of times, or an enchanter, or a witch, or a chamber, or a charmer, or a consulter with familiar spirits, or a wizard, or a necromancer. For all that do these things are what? An abomination unto Yahawah. So when you smoke weed, you are an abomination to the Most High God, Yahawah. You are a goddamn soothsayer. It says, and because of these abominations, Yahawah thy God doth drive them out before thee. Right? So when we look at verse 19, verse 9 says, when thou art come into the land which Yahawah thy God giveth thee, thou shalt not learn to do after the abomination of those nations. Of who? The Canaanites. Don't follow after them. Right? Verse 12, it says, for all these things, for all that do these things are an abomination unto Yahawah. And because of these abominations, Yahawah thy God doth drive them out before thee. The Most High God is kicking the Canaanites out because of their evil, right? Because of their perverseness, because of their gross depravity and iniquity, right? We were told to literally destroy those people, right? Because, and don't make marriages with their sons and their daughters, because they're going to turn your heart from what? From serving me, because you're going to see them doing all of this evil stuff, and you're going to be enticed to do it. But guess what? We didn't listen. Ain't no new thing under the sun, right? You guys, all you potheads, niggas are doing the same exact thing that the Canaanites were doing, being observers of times, being Inanium, being in the clouds, getting high. At where? At high places, as the Bible calls them, right? It says, verse 13, thou shalt be perfect with Yahawah thy God. You cannot be perfect with Yahawah your God by smoking weed. Don Juan, we're not talking about being a drunkard or a glutton. That's not the topic. I would really love if our people would have a little more of an attention span than that of a squirrel. Let's stay on topic. Let's stay on the topic of smoking weed and how it's gross iniquity and the sin, and it's an abomination. And the Most High God is going to kill all you blunt smoking niggas. The Most High God's going to put you in a blunt and smoke you. Niggas talk about, yeah, we're smoking on our ops. You are the ops of the Lord, right? And the Lord's about to smoke on a big, silly nigga pack, right? And nuke you to smithereens. If you don't stop rolling up blunts and worshiping the heathens, gods, and stop being a goddamn soothsayer, stop being a goddamn Inanium, right? So let's get back into it, right? So, again, looking here at this definition of the word Inan, right? It says used only as the diminutive of Strong's 6051, 860 to cloud over figuratively or actively covertly, i.e., practice magic, bring enchanter, right? Observer of times, soothsayer, sorcerer, right? So let's go back to Isaiah chapter 2, right? It says, O house of Jacob, verse 5, come ye and let us walk in the light of the Lord. What's the light of the Lord? The law. We just read the law, how the practices of the Canaanites, right, of being Inanium, of being soothsayers like them, right, is an abomination unto Yahawah. You smoking weed is just as bad as you being a goddamn boxy man, right? A lot of y'all tuned in because I exposed Alazar Bun Lawyer, aka the Gorilla Hebrew, aka Peggy Sue, aka Chief Queef, right? AKA the list goes on, right? You think that he's an abomination? Yeah, he's an abomination to the Lord. But if you smoke weed, you're just as much as an abomination as he is, right? Both of them are sins unto death. Or you blunt smoking niggas, or you J smoking niggas, or you bong tappers. You're committing idolatry and witchcraft and sorcery, right? And guess what? We're gonna dive into it even further. So again, it says they are replenished from the east and are soothsayers like the Philistines, right? They are sorcerers. They are enchanters. They are observers of times. Inanium, like the Philistines, right? When we look here at the other translations, it says that we at that time, right? Again, this is during the time of those aforementioned kings, right? Jotham, Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah. That's the time in which Isaiah prophesied, right? It says that we are soothsayers like the Philistines, right? They are filled with Eastern ways, right? When we look at the word for soothsayer, Balaam is called a soothsayer. He's from where? From Mesopotamia, right? Let's look at that up. Look that up real quick. Soothsayer, right? Where is Mesopotamia? In the east. Balaam, also the son of Beor, the soothsayer, that the children of Israel slay with the sword among them that were slain by them. So we killed niggas who were soothsayers, right? But you niggas want to be like those of the east. Mesopotamia is east of Israel, right? Don't believe me? Okay, let's take a look here. right? So this is, I was actually just watching the video on the Bronze Age collapse, right? So here we got Egypt, you know what I mean? This is Canaan, right? We took over the land of Canaan, right? We got to the east, right? This land we took over, right? To the east, you have Mesopotamia, Babylon, right? You have Ashur, right? You have the Elamites. The Elamites are the forefathers of the East Indians who started to practice the worship of Hinduism and Shivaism, which all comes from the same pagan, the same pagan system, right? All of the heathen worship the same gods with different names. That's it, right? So let's dive into, right, some archaeology, right? So this is from the Armstrong Institute of Biblical Archaeology. The Armstrong Institute of Biblical Archaeology. Hallucinogenic plants discovered in temples at Gath. What's Gath, you might ask? Gath is the home city of who? Of who? Let's see if you guys are paying attention. Gath is the home city of who in the Bible? What biblical figure, right? Biblical antagonist to the nation of Israel is from the city of Gath. Let's see who's paying attention. All the potheads. Do you niggas know the answers? Shout out to the brother Matawathya. Goliath. Goliath is from Gath, right? So these are Philistine cities, right? So boom, here we are. 1 Samuel 5:8. They sent therefore and gathered all the lords of the Philistines, the Palashaphim, unto them and said, what shall we do with the ark of the God of Israel? And they answered, let the ark of the God of Israel be carried about unto what? Unto Gath. And they carried the ark of God of the God of Israel about thither. That's where they took the Ark of the Covenant, right? You read on this story in 1 Samuel 6, right? The Most High, because they took possession of the Ark of the Covenant, the Most High God smote them with plagues, hemorrhoids, which is, if I'm not mistaken, right? Hemorrhoids, it's very painful. Hemorrhoids is an archaic way of saying hemorrhoids, derived from, all right, so what's hemorrhoid mean? Hemorrhoids, also known as piles, are swollen veins in the lower rectum and anus. Ugh. They can be internal inside the rectum or external under the skin around the anus. So imagine you going to, you know what I mean, take a smash, right? Drop a log, right? And you got big old swollen knots around your beehole. That's what the Most High God did to the Philistines, right? For touching the Ark of the Covenant. But guess what? Why the hell did we lose the Ark of the Covenant? Because niggas were sinning against God. Niggas, the Most High God wasn't fighting with us. When we rebel against God, the Most High God allows our enemies to defeat us. And you niggas want to listen. You niggas are such potheads, such drug addicts that you can't help, right? But roll up a big fat backwood, a big fat game, a big fat white owl, a big fat cigarello, a big fat paper, a Louisville slugger, right? And smoke and be in the clouds because you're a goddamn abomination unto the Lord, right? So let's go back here to this article. Hallucinogenic plants discovered in the temples at Gath. Now, this is a very recent archaeological discovery. New discoveries may provide insight into the cultic practices of biblical soothsayers. Let's go. This is an aerial view of Gath, right? Aerial view of Gath, right? And this is the temple site, okay? So it says on February 12th, researchers from Bar-Ilan University published a report that detailed discoveries of various plants used in Philistine temples, including hallucinogenic plants. This report has shed light on details of the Philistine cults in the biblical era. Okay, so again, this is why the thumbnail here. I had AI, right, show some Philistines, right, some bald-headed Philistines, right, burning up the good old weed in the temple of their god Dagon. That was their deity that they worship, Dagon, right, a fish god. Why? Because the Philistines, who come out of where? They come out of Matawathya, are from the descendants of Matawathya, right? They come out of Egypt. They were seafaring people, right? So it goes on to say the report centered on the excavation of two temples at Tel as-Safi, biblical Gath. This was the home of Goliath, the location where the Philistines briefly stored the Ark of the Covenant. These temples, constructed in the 10th and 9th century BCE, were destroyed by King Hazael of Aram during 830 BCE, right, which is referenced in 2 Kings 12:18. The team, led by archaeobotanist Dr. Suembikia Fruman and Professor Aaron Meir, right, this is a small hat, the lead excavator at Gath, collected over 2,000 samples of burnt seeds and fruits from in and around the temples. The most commonly found plant species was the chaste tree, which ironically is an aphrodisiac and aesthetic, right? The chaste tree was used in cultic practices in later periods in Greece, including at the temple of Hera at Samos, and in the worship of several gods, Artemis, Demeter, and Asclepius, right? So again, all this paganism, all these heathen customs, they're all the same. Okay? So the Philistines use this, and so did the Greeks use this, right? And when you actually dive into the history, right? So like I was watching a video on, this is Cyprus, right? This little island right here, that's an Alashia, right? That's Cyprus, right? And you know, you have the Hittites, you have Hatti, right? These are the Hittites in Anatolia, which is modern day Turkey. Here is the Peloponnese, right? You got the Dorians up here, Hellas, which is where you get the word Greece. Here's Crete, right? All of these cultures they're all connected, right? When you understand the Canaanites, right? They came from Byblos and from Tyre and Zidon. They went on to found Phoenicia here in the north coast of northern Africa, right? They also conquered Sicily, right? And there's a plethora of pagan temples that are found all throughout these places, all throughout Cyprus, all throughout Sicily, near Italy, right? All here, Tripoli, all these places, right? We look here at the Mesopotamia, Babylonia, right? The Elamites, we were following the ways of those of the east, right? Again, Balaam, who this Balak hired to curse us, he was a soothsayer from where? From Mesopotamia. Okay, so going back here in this this hot off the press, brand new archaeology, right? This is from February of last year. This was discovered, right? It says in the Peloponnese region. Listen, guys, you got to know history, you got to know geography, right? You got to know archaeology, right? The scripture tells us to be not entering in any small matter, and this is not a small matter, right? This is a very serious matter, right? Because it's a matter of salvation. If you smoke weed, you're going to die. You're committing a sin unto death. You're committing abomination. The Most High God's going to kill you. Point blank, period, right? So it says, since the Philistines and the Greeks share common ancestry, attested in the Bible and now corroborated in recent DNA research. I'm not sure what they're talking about there, but because the Philistines are descendants of, technically, yeah, they're descendants of Ham, right? Right? The descendants of Ham, right? The Greeks, the original Greeks, are the descendants of Japheth, right? The Greeks that came in under Alexander, right? That's something known as the Dorian invasion, right? If we go back here to we go back here. Dorians were up here, right? You got Hellas, where you got Athens, Sparta, all down here, right? These were Japhetic people. They got ran up on out of there by Esau, right? Esau got driven out of the desert, right? By what? By the Arabians, right? And they made their way into Greece, right? Into Chittim or Italy, right? All these different areas, okay? So let's go back here. So it goes on to say, this is an interesting cultural element that maybe have predated the Philistine migration and settlement. So I'm sure because the Philistines were seafaring people, right? That means that they were merchants as well. Same way that the Canaanite, other Hamitic brothers were merchants, right? They were intermingling with these people and marrying with these people. This is why they would have a genetic connection, right? So it goes on to say another interesting plant discovered at these temples is poison darnel, aka ryegrass, false wheat, or the tares described in the New Testament. Wow, isn't that amazing? Now, I didn't read this whole article, right? I actually watched the video where they were bringing this out, right? And this was the source, right? So let's keep on going. It says poison darnel is a natural source of ergot fungi containing an LSD type alkaloid known to be hallucinogenic. The report said LSD was first extracted from the ergot fungi in 1938. Effects of ergotism. Let's see what that means. Ergotism. Look up ergotism. Ergotism. Poison produced by eating food affected by ergot, typically resulting in headache, vomiting, diarrhea, and gangrene of fingers and toes. Wow. Ugh, that sounds gross. Effects of ergotism. Interesting. Look up. Vomiting, headache, diarrhea. Now, this is cold. So the Most High God did what? He plagued the Philistines with what? Hemorrhoids. With hemorrhoids, which are what? Hemorrhoids. Also known as piles, swollen veins in the lower rectum or anus. The Most High God, right, gave them a disease, right, because that affected their excretory system, right, their rectums and anuses, right, and the one of the plants, right, that they were burning in their temples in the worshiping of their fish god Dagon, right, it caused something called ergotism, which what causes diarrhea. It's poison produced by eating food affected by ergot, right? This specific fungi, typically resulting in headache, vomiting, diarrhea, and gangrene of the fingers and toes. So they were going through it, guys, right? But it gets better. It says may include convulsions, muscle spasms, vomiting, and hallucinations. Many historians believe that ergot fungi infected wheat and what led to the massive witch trials of the Dark Ages in Europe. The use of poison darnel is also mentioned in relation to activities of the ancient Greek Eleusinian mysteries cult, right? So again, this all is pagan, right? This may have been a result of the witch trials in Europe during the Dark Ages. It says how these plants were used in Philistine ritual is still largely unknown. It is plausible that temple ritual praxis include the use of medicinal, and mood-enhancing additions to regular foods. The report concluded this fits with the importance of the alcoholic beverages in Philistine culture. Gath, another discovery of recent years, all well with the proven use of plant-related oils with hallucinogenic properties in ritual chalices and incense altars found in Philistine temples. Though the Bible does not directly mention the Philistines engaging in hallucinogenic cult rituals, it may allude to similar Philistine inclinations. Isaiah 2 and 6, for instance, mentions soothsayers like the Philistines. The Hebrew word inanyam, which while an individual may become a soothsayer under the influence of a psychedelic drug, the Hebrew word can also mean clouds, perhaps related to how the drugs were ingested via a cloud of smoke from an incense altar. And right, and they hide in their what? In the clouds. Let me tell you, this video needs to be shared everywhere. If you love your people, all right, law of gardening, you're out of here, right? Because you're just being an idiot and you're being disruptive, right? If you want to be a pothead and want to be a soothsayer, so be it. Die, nigga. So now, choose death if you want. So now, here we are. So now we can read more, right? And I'll put the link. I'm gonna put the link in the description, law willing. I remember, right? But I'm gonna put the link right here in the chat. This is the link to the record. So now, this is a video. This couple, they live in Israel, right? And I've been watching them. I've been watching them for probably about a few months now, right? And I've watched some really fascinating stuff, sites that they've gone to in our land, right? The heathen are in our land. Now, has anyone ever been taught, right? Anyone ever remember being taught by the leader, the former leader of Sakari, that Jerusalem, where the Al-Aqsa Mosque in the Dome of the Rock, right, which is in the land of Israel, right, that is not the real Jerusalem? Does anyone remember being taught that? And being taught that Tel Arad is the real Jerusalem? Put a 1 in the chat if you remember being taught, remember hearing, right, that Tel Arad is the real Jerusalem, right? Ruben said, I remember, right? Sister Nadia said, yep, I heard it, right? Jehu the God, right? Yep. So you guys remember. So I'm not capping, right? Guys, I'm here. And yes, I remember that too, because that's what I was taught, right? But I actually dove into archaeology and looked at the archaeological evidence at the Temple Mount, right? Looking at the different expansions over the different periods, right? You had the Maccabean expansion, right? You have the Herodian expansion after the temple was destroyed, right? There's evidence of it being burnt, like literally there at the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. That is the actual Jerusalem. Tel Arad is not, and I'm going to do a whole lesson on this. Tel Arad is not Jerusalem. Tel Arad is the biblical city of Arad. It's Arad, right? So, and we were taught, right? Let's take a look. Tel Arad, we were taught by a baser sort of man, right? We were taught, oh, that this is the temple. You see that? This is the Temple Mount. No, the hell it's not. Right? We're gonna dive into this temple, right? So check this out, right? Boom, let's go. All right, so let's get fair use in the chat. Let me get the fair use in the chat. Fair use. This is our thoughts and opinions on this scholarly docu-series, okay? So fair use. So check this out.
What a valley. I mean, we're right below.
So they're below the Judean foothills, right? The temple was built on Mount Moriah. You had the Mount of Olives, not foothills. Okay? So this is where they are. They're traveling south from wherever the hell they live, right, to Arad.
Arad is located in the southern desert of Israel. Driving by car, it is 1.5 hours away from Jerusalem, only 30 minutes from the Dead Sea. And while these distances seem to be rather short in Israeli standards, this is considered a long drive into a desolate desert.
That is beautiful in its own unique way. It just not like beautiful all green, even though probably this in the spring is still gonna be green. All of this.
So this chapter mark is the Canaanite city, right?
See it?
Wow.
Because what you guys got to understand, like when we came into the land, we built cities on top of cities, right? Even like there's a video that came up on my feed on YouTube earlier today, because I'm into archaeology, I'm into city planning, right? This interesting to me. I watched a video the other about a month or two ago about what's underground in Philadelphia, right, as a city, right? But a video popped up about London, right? Because London was a Roman city, right? And London is built on top of, that Roman city, right? Another example, Ramses is not. The Bible says that we built Ramses for Pharaoh, right? But that's an anachronism, right? The same way if I'm writing something about New Amsterdam, which is New York, during the time of the Dutch, right? It wasn't called New York. It got that name by the British taking over New York or New Amsterdam from the Dutch, and they put the name New York instead of New Amsterdam, right? Speaking of Amsterdam, Amsterdam is known for what? For weed. How apropos, right? So that's what's called an anachronism. We actually built what was called Avaris. And after we, of course, made our exodus, right? Ramses was built on top of that, right? And then you have P. Ramses, which is a little further away from that. So, that's what it is. It's an anachronism, right? So let's get back to it.
See it? Do you see it?
Wow, it really protrudes up there. Like from the top, you can see it from afar. Anybody passing here would have seen it.
Now, why is that important? Anyone passing there would have seen it. Because Ahaz built up high places to worship what? Heathen gods.
And the fortress on top of the hill that was the large Canaanite city, and the fortress on top of the hill that was built later at the time of the Judean kingdom. We will start our journey at the bottom by walking through the Canaanite city to see one of the oldest houses in the world, and then make our way up the hill to the fortress where the temple is located.
All right. So now let's go to the fortress.
Look at this.
The fortress is believed to have been built originally during the time of the king Solomon. However, it's been destroyed, buried, and rebuilt multiple times throughout history, starting from the Judahites, then Persians, then Hellenists, then the Romans. It was in use all the way until it was finally abandoned in the 10th century AD. And this would be the gate,
So
right?
10th century AD would be the 900s.
It's the gate.
It's so big.
Yeah. They're like sitting here. Wow, and it's look how wide it is too.
So the walls we see standing today are a mix of newer construction and original that were excavated from under the rubble.
Under the rubble. Pay attention, right? That's important. Under the rubble.
Look, the storerooms. This structure, which consists of 3 long rooms in which food and liquids such as wheat and oil were stored was used as a regional storage depot. The building survived only partially, and the illustration is a suggested reconstruction. So they think that's how it might have looked like. So this would be this, right? Right here? Probably that one, because I see the wall right behind it.
All right, let's move on.
We're ready to visit.
Now we're going to get to the temple, right? Let's just speed along, right? Check this.
The temple.
There is the temple.
Ooh.
There is the temple. So it says this is the only temple discovered so far within the boundaries of the kingdom of Judah. It was built on an east-west axis like the temple in Jerusalem.
Built on an east-west axis. I'm trying to think of the significance of it. Because when you study archaeology and study the temples, different temples, like for instance, the temples, some of the pyramids in Mesoamerica, which is, Mexico, the Yucatan Peninsula into Central America, the Maya, they would build temples to, of course, Kukulkan, right? The Aztecs would build temples to Quetzalcoatl, right? And these temples, all of these temples, right? There's temples found in like Cambodia, right? Temples found, something called Tobekli Tepe, right? In modern day, I believe, Turkey, right? These temples were aligned to the celestial being bodies, right? Perfectly. Why? Because the heathen were dismayed at the signs of heaven, which we were told not to, right? So let's keep going.
This is crazy. I can't believe we're walking in an ancient temple dating all the way back to the time of Solomon and the kings. Look at this. Plastered walls, plastered floor, and Holy of Holies. King David, King Solomon? Well, not quite. If we go to Wikipedia, we'll find that it says that this site is associated with King David and King Solomon. In fact, most of the resources online will tell you the same thing. And that's because most of them are basing their information from this original excavation report from 1960s. These guys, Aroni, have excavated for 18 seasons. That's like almost 18 years. And the amount of work they've done is unbelievable. This site would not exist today uncovered without them. However, at the time, they had limited resources. With every decade, we got more and more information from archaeology, not just in Israel, but all around the world, which helps contribute to the dating of these sites. So, in 2002, when Zev Herzog takes the original findings and reevaluates them with all of the new information and resources we've collected over 40 years in the archaeological database. And here's what he finds. Herzog concludes that the temple does not date back to Solomon's time, which would be the 10th century BC, but instead he proposes that it dates to the 8th century BC. He then gives it a rough estimate of 750 BC.
Now notice how it says cultural reform attributed to Hezekiah, right? So we're gonna dive into that in a bit in some of the history, right, in the Bible. But pay attention, family, right? So this temple, right, does not date back to the time of Solomon. Solomon built the first temple on Mount Moriah, not here in Arad. Arad is the actual city that we can read about in the Bible. Okay. Now, again, Arad is Arad. Jerusalem, which is being trodden down of the Gentiles. Currently, you have the Ishmaelites and the Amalekites both, occupying it, right? You have our temple destroyed, right? I'm going to go into some archaeology that emphatically proves that the Temple Mount is indeed the Temple Mount, okay? And that Tel Arad is not the original temple. It does not date back to Solomon.
750 BC. This is the middle of the 8th century, and Solomon is long gone by then. So which king of Judah lived at that time? There's quite a few of them, but there's one that really stands out, and that would be the father of Hezekiah, King Ahaz.
In 2 Chronicles 28, the Bible says that King Ahaz did not do what was right in the sight of the Lord. He made molded images for the Baals, he burnt children in the fire in the valley of Hinnom, and in verse 25 it says that in every single city of Judah he made high places to burn incense to other gods.
To burn what? To burn incense to other gods. Pay attention, guys.
That word, burn incense, in the Hebrew Bible comes from the Hebrew word ketor, which means thick smoke. And this leads us to the next paper. Yes, this paper, only published recently last year, says that this high place was literally a high place.
During the excavations in the 60s, the archaeologists noticed that at the top of the 2 pillars of the shrine, there was an organic residue. So they ran an analysis. But at that time, the technology was very limited.
It's back in the 60s, right? Now, again, when we go back to this article about the Philistine city, right, who are soothsayers, right, how, and we followed after their ways, right, they were, the archaeologists called an archaeobotanist, right? So archaeobotanists, right, they analyze these 2 different plant matters, right? Here is, boom. So here we are, Smithsonian Magazine, smithsonianmag.com, right? The Smithsonian, right? If you ever been to DC, the history of African American history, it's part of the Smithsonian system, right? There's a plethora of museums in DC that are all part of the Smithsonian system, right? I did a program when I was between 7th and 3rd grade that summer. I did a Junior National Young Leadership Conference, and we literally went to most of these Smithsonian museums, right? So it says archaeologists identify traces of burnt cannabis in ancient Jewish shrine. New research suggests, this is from 2020, right? This video is from 3 years ago, right? Which would have been 2021. So boom, this was new research that came out, what? 5 years ago, 2020. It says new research suggests the mind-altering substance may have been widely used in the ritual practices of the kingdom of Judah. There's no new thing under the sun, right? So we see here, we have these 2 altars, right? The one on the left here, it says archaeologists found 2 altars seen here, feature burnt cannabis on the right and frankincense on the left, respectively. Israel Antiquities Authority photo, right? From Israel Museum by Laura Lachman, right? So let's get back into the video, family. So niggas was getting high in the high place, inhaling thick clouds of smoke. Stop smoking weed.
Provide any conclusive result.
Let me get hashtag put down the blunt in the chat, right? Hashtag put down the blunt in the chat.
So the pillars, together with all of the artifacts, were taken to the Israel Museum for safekeeping, where they stayed on display for half a century. Until very recently, when a new team of archaeologists decided to try a modern and improved analysis technique.
And so just last year, a team says, hey, wait a second, we have this new technology that can identify organic compounds. So let's go to the Museum of Israel and examine the top of the columns from this Holy of Holies. What if we will be able to identify what they actually burnt here, what they sacrificed? And what they find is mind-blowing.
The big pillar had a residue of frankincense, a fragrant perfume that the Israelites were instructed to burn as incense in the tabernacle.
Now, for the record, right? Frankincense is a resin that comes from the trunk or the bark of a tree, right? Of the Boswellia tree, right? That's its Latin nomenclature, right? So that it's a resin. It's not the actual plant or herb itself, right? We were instructed to burn frankincense, to burn myrrh. Also, myrrh is a resin. Like, I'll give you an example. We kept the Feast of Tabernacles. This was back in 2021, right? My wife and I, we drove down from Philly to Atlanta to keep it with Sakari Atlanta at the time. We weren't able to keep tabernacles in our regions, right? After that year, I went to the former leader thereof and asked him, hey, can we bro, this is a lot on brothers and sisters. Can we keep tabernacles in our regions? So you're welcome to all the Sakari members and former Sakari members, right? Niggas had to go to either Seattle, Dallas, San Diego, or Atlanta. That's it, right? So we starting in 2022. We kept Feast of Tabernacles here in Philly, right? Brothers from NJNY, brothers from Baltimore and VA will come up, right, and keep Tabernacles with us. Tabernacles is my favorite. Is my favorite high holy day, right? So, what was the point of me bringing it up? Oh yeah, so right before we left to drive up, right? Listen, it was such a long trip. We had to get an oil change, right, before we got on the road to drive back up to Philly. So I was going around. There was a bunch of pine trees, and the pine trees have this sap or this resin, right, that I was scraping. I was collecting. I still have some, right, and you can burn that, and it literally smells like pine. Your whole house will smell like pine. My wife hates it because she said, "Oh, it smells like a bonfire," right? But it smells amazing, right? That's what frankincense and myrrh is. It's a resin that comes from the plant. It's not an actual herb, okay? Now it has, of course, healing properties. You can use myrrh, frankincense, and for oral care and things of that nature. There's all types of gums or resins that come from trees that you can use in the for the oral care. Like this is a gum that I have, a natural gum that I have, right? It has organic chicle gum, mastic gum, spruce gum, myrrh gum, acacia gum, right? We have acacia wood that we have mentioned in the Bible. It has organic eggshell powder and a whole bunch of other stuff like xylitol, so it's a natural gum, right? But that all comes from it. It comes from the tree. It itself is not an herb. Just to put that in perspective.
And later in the temple in Jerusalem, while the smaller pillar had a very well preserved residue of cannabis.
It says cannabidiol, right? CBD, right? Trans tetrahydrocannabinol, right? THC, which is the psychoactive compound that gets you high, right? And its degradation by product CBN were detected in the black heap of organic remains accumulated on the upper surface of the small altar. Cannabinoids are naturally formed only in cannabis plants. Only found in what? In cannabis plants. So you know what our people were doing? They were burning plants, burning cannabis on an altar to some pagan god, right, in Arad, getting high. Okay.
And it wasn't placed there just for beauty, but the analysis found that it was mixed with animal dung, which acted as a fuel so that when it's burning, the cannabis plant could reach the needed temperature to produce mind-altering experience.
So niggas are what? Wise to do evil. Let's get that real quick, right? Let's get that real quick, right? Jeremiah 4:22. It says, "For my people is foolish. They have not known me." Right? What does it mean to know God? To keep his commandments. They have not known me. They are sottish children. They have none understanding. They are wise to do evil. but to do good, they have no knowledge. So all you potheads, all you niggas that can't put down the blunt, right? You are what Jeremiah says, what the Most High God says through the prophet Jeremiah. You are wise to do evil, right? Ye know not what ye worship. You know not what ye worship. The same way our people don't realize that they're worshiping the goddess Ishtar when they celebrate Easter, right? When they don't realize that they're celebrating, Tammuz and Semiramis and all these other pagan gods when they keep Christmas, right? You guys are wise to do evil. When our silly ass sisters got, I'm a rising Aquarius with a waning Gibbons Taurus. You're being an observer of time, right? You're being a witch. You're engaging in witchcraft, sorcery, right? Let's keep going.
According to the Bible, the people of Judah were not supposed to build this. They were not supposed to build another temple outside of Jerusalem. They were not supposed to have another Holy of Holies. They were not supposed to put stones in there, that's for sure. They're not supposed to put sacrifices anywhere outside of Jerusalem, and yet they've done so. But it did come to them at a cost, because just a few years later, this temple was gone. The archaeologists found evidence that somebody came and intently removed this temple, not destroyed it. There wasn't a layer of destruction, burning, and fire.
There are no signs of destruction by fire. So this temple at Tel Arad is not the temple of Yahawah. It is not. It was a pagan high place, right? More than likely erected by King Ahaz's wicked ass, right? Which his son, King Hezekiah, Yahawah, right, tore down, and then subsequently his son, King Manasseh Manashah, one of the most evil kings in Judah's history, right, who actually reigned the longest. That nigga reigned for 52 years. He did what? He raised back up the high places that his grandfather Ahaz had reared up, that his father Hezekiah had tore down, right? Let's keep going.
Enemy came and attacked it. No, there was clear evidence of intentional cancellation. Stones were placed down, things were dismantled, and then they filled the whole area with 1 meter layer of dirt. They basically leveled it and then repurposed the area.
Well, what's a meter? How many feet is a meter? So 3 feet of dirt. That's intentional. 3 feet of dirt. Has anyone ever tried digging a hole more than 3 feet? It takes some time. It's a lot of earth you have to move. This is very intentional. Right? We have to start using our noggins, people. Right? Listen. The earth is helping the woman. Right? The basis of human beings, right here. Right? The people who are trying down our land, living in our land, right? Who's taking the land in our land in their possession. They are helping us. Right?
And this sounds very similar to the events that happened during the reign of King Hezekiah.
In 2 Kings chapter 18, the Bible says Hezekiah was the son of Ahaz, but unlike his father, Hezekiah did what was right in the sight of the Lord. It then says that he removed the high places and broke the sacred pillars. And even a more descriptive passage can be found in 2 Chronicles chapter 31, where it says that all Israel went out to the cities of Judah and broke the sacred pillars in pieces, cut down the wooden images, and threw down the high places. And this is exactly what the archaeologists are finding in these ruins, a clear evidence of cancellation that points to Hezekiah's reform.
And this is so exciting because now we have archaeological findings that are going one-to-one with the biblical narrative. Now we're seeing this all over the area, but to have such detail and such matching dates is quite phenomenal. But of course, this story and what transpired here also has a sad part. So this would be one of the high places that Hezekiah would have destroyed. Like a temple like this, that's not in Jerusalem, it's not according to God's word, and so he would come here and just tear it down.
Yeah.
I wonder if I put myself in the shoes of these people. There's probably a priest here, and this guy is full of Holies, and he knows that, you know.
All right, so let's get back into the Bible. So everyone understanding how this practice, right? This practice of burning incense, right? Burning plant matter, right? This is something that we learned from the heathen. We learned this from the Canaanites. We learned this from the Philistines, right? Who are Egyptians. We were told not to follow their practices or their ordinances, right? Here we are building high places where niggas were literally getting high. Niggas literally took animal dung, mixed it with the weed, so that it burns at a high temperature so that they can actually get high off of it in what they call high places, right? So let's keep on. Let's look more into this, right? Check this out. 2 Kings 21. Right, boom. 2 Kings chapter 21, right? Check this out. 2 Kings chapter 21, start from the top. It says, Manasseh was 12 years old when he began to reign, and reigned 55 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Hephzibah, right? Hephzibah, I was doing some research. Hephzibah is, we see this name is used as a moniker, right? Or basically to represent Jerusalem, right? Saying how we have, oh, Holy Mama, right? We have, like for instance, right here we are. Hephzibah appears twice. It means my delight is in her. The queen of King Hezekiah, the mother of Manasseh, named for Jerusalem, right? So now I was actually doing some research, and there's some oral traditions that lend to the idea that Hephzibah might have been either the daughter or the adopted daughter of the prophet Isaiah, right? But that's neither here nor there. That's not the point, right? So Manasseh is the son of King Hezekiah and Hephzibah, right? Which means my delight is in her, right? Verse 2, it says, and he did which was evil in the sight of Yahawah, after the abominations of the heathen, after the abominations of the heathen. Deuteronomy chapter 18 in verse 10. There shall not be found among you anyone that maketh his son or his daughter to pass through the fire, or to use divination, or an observer of times. That word there is einanium, to be to be in the clouds, right? To be a soothsayer, like the Philistines are. We just looked at the archaeological evidence that the Philistines would literally burn psychoactive plants, one of which would be poison darnel or ryegrass or false wheat, right? So all you blunt smoking niggas, right? You're not going to be the wheat. You're going to be the tares, and the tares are going to be burnt up. You're going to die if you don't stop smoking weed, right? Let's get back to it. Deuteronomy chapter 18 and verse 10. It says, or that useth divination, or an observer of times, or an enchanter, or a witch. You're engaging in sorcery. You're engaging in witchcraft. You are engaging in idolatry when you're smoking marijuana. It says, or a chamber, or a consulter with familiar spirits, or a wizard, or a necromancer. For all that do these things are in what? An abomination unto Yahawah, and because of these abominations, Yahawah thy God doth drive them out before thee. Who's of them? The Canaanites, right? When we looked at this video, right, we have a portion that literally says the Canaanite city. This is all the same area, right? We follow the ways of the Canaanites and of the Philistines and of all the heathens of the east, as we saw in Isaiah, right? It says, all that do these things are an abomination unto Yahawah, and because of these abominations, Yahawah thy God doth drive them out from before thee. Thou shalt be perfect with Yahawah thy God, and not doing these things and not being a goddamn abomination. Right? You goddamn weed heads. Right? Niggas just can't stop being weed heads. Okay? So let's go back here to 2 Kings. It says, so he did evil in the sight of Yahawah after the abominations of the heathen, whom Yahawah cast out before the children of Israel. Who's that? The Canaanites. For he built up again the high places which Hezekiah his father had destroyed. And he reared up altars for Baal and made a grove. What's a grove? Right? This goes back to the worship of the Canaanite deity Ashtoreth, where we get the Astra groves or the poles, right? Which is the forerunner of the modern day strip club. You weed smoking potheads are just as bad as a sister in the goddamn strip club at Follies, at Pinups, at King of Diamonds, shaking her ass. It says, as did Ahab, king of Israel, and worshiped all the hosts of heaven and served them. And he built altars in the house of Yahawah. He took it a step further. He said, you know what? I'm going to build altars in the temple of Yahawah. And this is why the Most High God destroyed the temple, the first temple, Solomon's temple, right? I had this silly nigga, right? A silly no-name nigga from goddamn Sakari, right? Nigga had the nerve to be chatting bad shit from, right? The niggas like, oh, burning the name of the Lord is crazy work. Because we burnt all of our Sakari gear. The Most High God burnt his temple down, stupid. Right? Why? Because you niggas are evil. Right? It says, and he built altars in the house of Yahawah, of which Yahawah said in Jerusalem, I will put my name. I will put my what? I will put my name. The niggas mad because I burnt a Sakari logo that says Yahawah Nasiyah, as if Yahawah was the banner of the nigga who gave you the goddamn name Sakari. The hell out of here, right? Let's keep going. And he built altars for all the hosts of heaven in the two courts of the house of Yahawah, and he made his son pass through the fire and observed times. He was the nigga used to smoke weed, right? The nigga used to get high in the temples. You know what I mean? You know, he burnt his nigga. You burnt your sons. You burnt your children alive. You followed the ways of the Canaanites, right? You got high, like all you blunt smoking niggas, right? And use enchantments. It's all witchcraft and idolatry. If you smoke weed, you are an idolater and you are a sorcerer, both of which are sins unto death. You're an abomination. You are going to die. Don't be mad at me, the messenger, warning you. I'm going to cry aloud. I'm going to spare not you silly niggas fucking feelings, and I'm going to show you your transgressions with not just the Bible, not the law, with the prophets, also with biblical archaeology. I don't know what else a nigga got to do to get through you stupid, sick niggas' skulls that you are full of it. You cannot say that you love the Most High God and you engage in the same things that Manasseh, one of the most evil kings to ever live in Israel, committed. Listen, niggas get abortions, right? Abortions at unprecedented rates. That's the same as making your children to pass through the fire. Have you guys ever seen a video, right? Have you ever seen a video of what it looks like when they abort a fetus? That baby is trying to save its life. The same thing with these. There's no new thing on this side. That's what these evil niggas was doing, right? This is what these evil niggas were doing. And niggas was goddamn blowing clouds, puffing on gas of cannabis, and the worship of other guys, was engaging in being an Inanium. They were in the clouds, in the Inanium, right? Being goddamn enchanters. And dealt with familiar spirits and wizards. He wrought much wickedness in the sight of Yahawah to provoke him to anger. And he set up a graven image of the grove that he made, that he had made in the house, of which Yahawah said to David and to Solomon his son, in this house in Jerusalem, which I have chosen out of all tribes of Israel, I will put my name forever. Listen, I gotta get a soundboard, right? I need to be able to drop some bombs, right? I need to be like Funk Flex dropping bombs, horns, I need to be like Simeon and Benjamin, right? In the dembo in the goddamn reggaeton, right? Dancehall. Let me get some dancehall horns. Again, cry aloud, spare not, lift up your voice like a trumpet, and show. I'm showing you niggas your iniquity. All you weed smoking potheads, you are worshiping pagan gods and in dealing in witchcraft. You are going to die if you don't put down the goddamn blunt. Let's keep reading. It says, and he set a graven image of the grove that he made in the house which Yahawah said unto David and to Solomon his son, in this house and in Jerusalem, which I have chosen out of all the tribes of Israel, I will put my name forever. Neither will I make the feet of Israel move anymore out of the land which I gave their fathers, only if they will observe to do according to all that I have commanded them, and according to all the law that my servant Moses commanded them. But they hearkened not, and Manasseh seduced them to do more evil than did the nations whom Yahawah destroyed before the children of Israel. You niggas are worse than the goddamn Canaanites. All you weed smoking niggas. All you weed smoking, bong tapping niggas are worse than the Canaanites. Let's go to the Bible. Let's go to the book. Let's go to the Wisdom of Solomon. Right, because Solomon went into idolatry as well. Right, his sin. Right, listen. The thing about sin, and this is why sin has to be called out. It has to be exposed. The dirt must get taken out of the closets. Right, the Most High God. Listen, your parents told you to clean your room. Right, you niggas just want to sweep the dirt under the rug instead of doing an actual cleanse. Azariah, right? If you don't know the book, chapter, or verse that was just read, right? You can just rewind. Just rewind, right? So now we're going into the Apocrypha, we're going into Wisdom of Solomon, right? And let's go to Wisdom of Solomon. I believe this is chapter 18 is what I want. Or maybe it's 12. Okay, 12. Wisdom of Solomon 12. Watch this. This is start from top. It says let's make sure I'm in the right. Yep, boom. Bing, bang, boom. This is what I want, right? Boom. So Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 12, verse 1. For thine incorruptible spirit is in all things. Therefore chastenest thou them little and little that offend, and warns them by putting them in remembrance wherein they have offended, that leaving their wickedness, that's what you niggas need to do. Leave your wickedness. Leave the wickedness of rolling blunts and smoking weed, because the Most High guys want to smoke your ass if you don't goddamn stop smoking weed. It says, they may believe on thee, O Lord, for it was thy will to destroy by the hands of our fathers both those old inhabitants of thy holy land. Both those old inhabitants of thy holy land, whom thou hatest for doing most odious works of witchcrafts and wicked sacrifices. Guess what? The Canaanites dwelt in our land, but also the Philistines dwelt in our land. Right? Our promised land was from the Nile River to the Euphrates. That would include Gath, that would include Ashkelon, that would include Ashdod. Right? Why were we going to war with the Philistines in the first place? Because that was our land. Right? It says, whom thou hatest for doing most odious works of witchcraft and wicked sacrifices. The Canaanites were burning their children, silly ass niggas, right? We say, hell yeah, let's follow those niggas. Let's cut this. Let's cut our children in half. Let's burn them to a so-called god named Baal, right? And just so you know, Baal is the name of multiple gods. The word Baal just means Lord, right? So, you know, you have Baal Perazim, you have Baal Peor, you have Baal this, Baal that, right? There's different Baalim, right? Baalium, right? Baalium in the Hebrew, right? In the ancient Hebrew. It says, for it was thy will to destroy both by the hands of our fathers, both those old inhabitants of thy holy land, whom thou hatest. God hates. He hates all you weed smoking niggas. He hates you. God hates you if you smoke weed. And you hate God, whom thou hatest for doing most odious works of witchcrafts and wicked sacrifice. Let's look at the word odious. Odious, extremely unpleasant, repulsive, right? I'm gonna look at the etymology of this word. Odious, hateful, deserving of hatred, hatred regarding with aversion of repugnance. Right? You niggas are repugnant. Oh, you weed smoking niggas. Right? Hateful, offensive, unpleasant. From odium, hatred, see odium. Right? Odium. Right? These witchcrafts, this blowing of strange incense, as the scriptures talk about, is a stench in the nose of the Lord. Right? A stench in the nose of the Lord. The Most High God don't want you niggas burning no goddamn ganja. He said, I'll give you every herb-bearing seed for meat, not to roll in a goddamn pipe and smoke, stupid nigga. Right? Where were we? Oh yeah, Wisdom of Solomon. Boom, here we go. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 12, right? So it says, and also those merciless murderers of children and devourers of men's flesh, and the flesh of feast of blood. This is what the Canaanites were doing. They were eating people. They were cannibals. With their priests out of the midst of their idolatrous crew, doing the witchcraft, right? That we see here at Arad, right? We see the Canaanite city, right? We see we built a fortress, a high place, right? We built a temple, right? And we burned frankincense and goddamn cannabis to pagan gods. Okay? It says, with their priests out of the midst of their idolatrous crew, right? So again, smoking weed is witchcraft and it's idolatry. It says, and the parents that killed with their own hands, souls destitute of help. Guess what? We followed after these silly niggas, right? That the land which thou esteemest above all other might receive a worthy colony of God's children. Nevertheless, even those thou sparest as men and didst send wasps, right? Think about killer bees, big wasps, right? Forerunners of thine host. What is a host? An army. We were the armies. To destroy them little by little. Not that thou wast unable to bring the ungodly under the hand of the righteous in battle, or to destroy them at once with cruel beasts, or with one rough word, but executing thy judgment upon them little by little, thou gavest them place of repentance, not being ignorant that they were a naughty generation, and that their malice was bred in them, and that their cogitation could never be changed. For it, talking about the Canaanites, was a cursed seed from the what? From the beginning. Ma bara'ashya. Ma meaning from, bara'ashya meaning the beginnings, the headings, Genesis. What's this cursed seed from Genesis, you might ask? The Proto-Canaanites. Right, when we read Ezekiel, I think it's Ezekiel, the 33rd chapter. Give me a second. Right, I'll tell you in just a second. Ezekiel chapter 28. No. Ezekiel 31, right? Ezekiel the 31st chapter, right? We see that the Assyrian was a cedar, which is a type of tree in Lebanon, right? Lebanon is just north of Israel, right? Which is technically our promised land, right? Lebanon comes back from the name Laban, right? Which means white, right? Lebanon, right? Now, does that mean that Rebecca and Laban were white? No, it means white in the sense of pureness, right? Lebanon is where we get the word Laban, Lebanon, right? So it says that the Assyrian was a cedar in Lebanon in the garden of God, right? In Eden, right? It says thou hast made Ezekiel 31:9 says, I have made him fear by the multitude of his branches, that all the trees of Eden that were in the garden of God envied him, talking about the Assyrians. So again, this cursed seed that was from the beginning, what do we read about in the beginning? The serpent, right? The tree of the knowledge of good and evil. These are the proto-Canaanites. For it was the cursed seed from the beginning. God did what? He cursed the serpent. Right? He cursed the serpent, which was a man from this particular nation. So what happened was the serpent beguiled Eve, right? Eve then brings this new doctrine, right? Which God's doctrine is his law, statutes, commandments. We read that, and what's that? Proverbs chapter 4. Yeah, Proverbs chapter 4. I give you good doctrine, forsake ye not my law, right? And who wrote that? Solomon. Yahawashi is Solomon. Yahawashi is the first man, Adam, right? So guess what? The Most High God cursed Adam and Eve because Adam listened to his woman, right? Who was beguiled by a goddamn proto-Canaanite. These evil, wicked niggas that the Most High God told us, hey, when you go into the land to possess, slaughter all these evil people, these people who burn their children, who kill, who murder their children, right? Without any remorse, right? Who eat blood, right? Who do all types of idolatry and witchcraft, right? And you niggas want to follow in their footsteps, you goddamn potheads, right? You are a smoke in the nose of the Lord. You're not a sweet savor. You are odor, right? Because you do most odious works of witchcraft by puffing on that gas, right? It says, for it was a curse seed from the beginning, neither didst thou for fear of any man give them pardon for those things wherein they sinned. For who shall say, what hast thou done? Or who shall withstand thy judgment? Or who shall accuse thee for the nations that perish whom thou hast made? Basically, who's gonna rebuke God? Who's gonna rebuke the Creator? No one. Imagine telling the potter, why hast thou made me thus? Oh, why did you make me a vessel unto dishonor? Why did you make me a pothead? Oh, why are you punishing me for doing what you created me to do? This is what Paul was talking about in Romans 9, right? Again, it says, for who shall say, what hast thou done? Because all of this is of God's doing, right? Proverbs 16:4, the Lord created all things for himself, yea, even the wicked for the day of evil. So all you city niggas, right? That's why I told it, that's why I kicked the nigga out, right? The city nigga that was running his mouth. Listen, Azariah, you silly nigga, right? Do you smoke weed, Azariah? Hey, true seeker, he's not just worshiping Shiva, right? He's worshiping all the hosts of heaven, right? The hosts of heaven, right, are literally the gods that the Most High God set up for the heathen to worship, right? But Jacob is the lot of his inheritance. I'm going to be doing a video on the divine council, right? And a proper understanding of Daniel, the 12th chapter, as well as Daniel, the 10th chapter, right? The chief queef of the Sakari, right? You know, he told that, oh, Daniel 12, this latter part here in verse 2 and 3, right? Those who are going to be raised up to everlasting shame and contempt. These are not talking about Israelites. Yeah, it's talking about niggas like him. Niggas going to die and they're going to be raised up to everlasting shame and contempt. Everlasting shame and contempt is coming to evil niggas like that. Right? And all you city Negroes that want to smoke weed, right? You're going to become a pack and you're going to die in a blink of fire. Azariah, stop being this goddamn simple nigga. Just answer the question. Do you smoke weed, nigga? Do you smoke weed? Yes or no? Don't say anything else in my chat. Do you smoke weed? Yes or no? That's all I want to hear from you. Listen, a foolish man refuses to take correction. He refuses to answer the question, right? So now that tells you all you know. You're a goddamn pothead. And now you're getting banned. All you pothead niggas, right? You're going to die. You're an abomination. You're going to die. Right? So it says, again, it was a cursed seed from the beginning, right? The Most High God hated them for doing most odious works of witchcraft, right? Here we are, verse 12. It says, for who shall say, what hast thou done? Or who shall withstand thy judgment? And who shall accuse thee for the nations that perish, whom thou hast made? Or who shall come to stand against thee to be revenged for the unrighteousness of men? For neither is there any God but thou, that careth for all, to whom thou mightest show at thy judgment is not unright, right? The Most High God's judgment is correct. It's always correct, right? There's some BANs, right? Some BAN words, right? In this nation, right? And one of these BANs, right, is a fat asthmatic, sleep apnea wolf. All right. And he created a room in response to the video. Let's go to right. If we go to no, it's not what I want. Right, boom. So he made a room, based off of this video that I did, right? Rebuking, right, the so-called elders and leaders who are supposed to be honorable men in this nation, who have failed us as a people, who have failed us as a community, right? They made a room in response, a room on Clubhouse in response, right, to this video, okay? And the nigga had the nerve to try to say that, before Ariella was a nobody. No one knew Ariella until I gave him a platform on the crown of thorns. And I said, oh, no, you do not get to say that, nigga. Right? You're not going to take Yahawah's credit. The Most High God raised me up, hoe ass nigga. Right? So, and of course, he interrupted me as I was speaking, right? Addressing all the fuckery, right? That evil niggas continue to commit and hide and sweep under the rug in this nation, right? And the nigga kept muting me and whatnot because these niggas don't want to be corrected, right? Like stupid ass Azariah, right? Well, I can't really blame Azariah when you have silly leaders like these niggas, evil men like this, right? Who pervert the word of God, right? So I told him, nigga, so that's why the Most High God burnt your house down, nigga. And can you when I tell you, you got whole ass niggas from the peanut gallery, niggas who spend their lives on their knees with their jaws clenched around another man's proverbial rod, right? These niggas, man, like, oh, Ariola said that, oh, that's why the Lord burnt your house down. His kids were in that house. Okay, as if I'm wishing death on his children. All I'm doing is pronouncing the fact that that was a judgment of Yahawah. See, let's go to the book of Ecclesiastes 8 and 11. Ecclesiastes 8 and I'll start verse 10. And so I saw the wicked buried, who had come and gone from the place of the holy, and they were forgotten in the city where they had so done. This is also vanity, because sentence against an evil work. You niggas know the evil works that you have done. All you niggas, all you evil leaders in this evil nation, right? You know the evil that you've done, but you niggas want to hide it as if the Most High God doesn't see your stupid ass, right? The Sirach says there's one. Actually, let me get it. Of Sirach chapter 23 and verse 19. It says, such a man only feareth the eyes of men. You niggas only fear the eyes of men. And knoweth not that the eyes of Yahawah are 10,000 times brighter than the sun, beholding all the ways of men, and considering the most secret parts. Where's your secret parts? Right? A lot of you niggas, a lot of your favorite leaders, right? Niggas want to crash out. That same woman I'm talking about, niggas want to crash out, right? If you follow me on Instagram, follow me at laYAHAWAH on all platforms, right? I expose Joel of the Sons of Thunder, right? For being a crash out, a nigga who hates niggas like me and my good brother Darash from True Nation. Shout out to the brothers of True Nation, right? Shout out to all the brothers who are trying to push righteousness, right? And bring many to righteousness instead of evil niggas that want to uphold this false sense of brotherhood over their duty and loyalty to their God and the word of God. And this is why I've been saying, fuck all you evil niggas in the nation of Israel. Fuck you. Right? So because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily, therefore the hearts of the sons of men is fully set in them to do evil. Though a sinner do evil 100 times and his days be prolonged, yet surely I know that it shall be well with them that fear God, which fear before him. But it shall not be well with the wicked. All you evil niggas in the nation of Israel, your day is coming, buddy boy. The Most High God's going to kill you niggas, lest you repent. But guess what? These evil niggas, these wicked, foolish niggas who refuse to be corrected, who refuse to be rebuked, who refuse to listen, right? All you niggas that refuse to put down the goddamn blunt, right? You evil, wicked, abominable niggas. Guess what? Though the Most High God hasn't killed your stupid ass yet, oh, just wait. It's not going to be well with you. It said, it shall not be well with the wicked, neither shall he prolong his days, which are as a shadow, because he feareth not before God. You niggas don't fear God. All you pothead niggas, you don't fear God, right? All these niggas don't fear God. You niggas don't fear the Most High God. And the Most High God's going to kill you niggas. I'm just here to warn your stupid ass. Right? Listen, don't shoot the messenger. That's what you niggas want to do. You niggas want to shoot at the messenger, right? I'm just giving the message from the big man upstairs, right? The warning, because I love you, stupid niggas. But you niggas hate me because you hate light. You love darkness, right? You, right, only fear the eyes of men. And you don't fear Yahawah. You don't realize that the Most High God's eyes are 10,000 times brighter than the sun. Guys, have you ever looked at the sun? Just try to stare into the sun on a clear day? You'll burn your goddamn eyes trying to do that. Imagine that times 10,000. Imagine when the sun is shining, right? Just booming, right? At noonday. Booming at noonday. Right? That's why the curse said that you will grope at noonday. Like a blind at noonday. Can't see. You niggas are just in gross wickedness. Right? You don't come to the light. You niggas hate the law of God. Right? This silly hoe nigga, right, with a goddamn sharp ass lineup. This nigga hates God. This fat piece of shit right here, right? He hates God, right? This gas hole, he hates God. This fudge packing goddamn Batiman my sissy, he hates God, right? This silly old nigga, right? Who says if I want to drink some grape soda, I'm gonna drink some grape soda. You niggas hate God. You hate Yahawah. You hate his word. And the Most High God visits the iniquity on those that hate him to the third and fourth generation, as Exodus the 20th chapter lets us know. Right? So niggas are mad. Niggas are mad because I told this stupid nigga, oh, that's why the Most High God burnt your fucking house down. Goddamn idiot. You evil piece of shit. Right? Niggas are all in an uproar. Right? So again, because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily, therefore the hearts of the Son of Man is fully set on them to do evil. You niggas continue to do evil, right? Because the Most High God hasn't really judged you. He hasn't brought the hammer down on you. He's doing to you niggas what he did to the Canaanites, right? He's chastising you. What? Nevertheless, even Wisdom of Solomon 12:8. Nevertheless, even those thou sparest as men, and didst send wise forerunners on thy host to destroy them little and little. The Most High God sent the fire on the nigga's house to destroy them little by little, right? But niggas ain't get the fucking message, right? When the alligator, the chief queef, when half his camp left, the nigga didn't see it as judgment of the Lord. Now look at him, the niggas relegated to doing goddamn reaction to Baddies Club on fucking Urban Gorilla, doing 100 and something goddamn views, but talked all that shit. I'm more anointed than you, Ariala. Okay, as if your fucking opinion matters. I had a stupid nigga in my comments talking about, oh, you're the king of the 2/3, as if your opinion determines whether that's true or not, nigga. Malak Eleazar, grape. I can't say a certain. Take the G away from the grape. There's your answer, right? Yeah, Chef Kai, shout out about this, right? So the Most High, this because you have not paid for your evil sins in the ultimate judgment of the Lord, right? Because sentence against the evil work is not executed speedily, you stupid niggas are set in your minds to continue to do evil. Because the Most High God gave a lot of you niggas to vile affections, gave a lot of you niggas, right, to a reprobate mind, right? There's a lot of fucking reprobates in this Israelite community, right? And all the reprobates hate me, right? You niggas hate me and you hate brothers like me, right? Shout out to my brother Daraj, right? you had this fucking idiot, this hoe ass nigga Hoel, right? Just spazzing on the brother Daraj, spreading lies, bearing false witness, right? Nigga said, I hate niggas like you. I can't wait to see you, my Ariel. You F word, right? You P word. I'm gonna F you niggas up. I hate niggas like you. That's what the nigga said. Because guess what? You don't have eternal life abiding in you, hoe ass nigga, right? But niggas are mad at me, right, for pronouncing judgments, right? Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 28 and verse 8 real quick. And that's the same thing for all you pothead niggas. All you pot, the Lord's gonna kill all. The Lord's gonna roll you in a backwood and smoke your ass, right? Jeremiah 28 and 8 says, the prophets that have been before me and before thee of old prophesied both against many countries. We prophesy against Babylon. We say Matawathya, right? I coined that term through the spirit and power of Yahawah shanyam-ishar, right? Because yeah, we prophesy against death to Babylon. Matawathya. It says, and against great kingdoms. Again, Matawathya, right? Countries, right? Talking about lands. Most High God's going to destroy this place. He's going to destroy all the land of Egypt, right? It says, of war and evil and of pestilence. The prophet which prophesied of peace, when the word of the prophet shall come to pass, then shall the prophet be known that Yahawah has truly sent him, right? So listen, man, here to pronounce judgment. Again, I'm not here to spare you niggas funky ass feelings. But you, your mammy, your pappy, your ball mouth grandmammies, fucking feelings. I don't care. I don't care. I don't respect persons in judgment like a lot of you niggas, right? Listen, my father, right? My father cursed me, like literally cursed me, 10 years ago. Well, I've forgiven him since then. So just to put that in perspective, but you know, my father told me I was evil. Right? My father told me that I was evil. Because I keep the laws of God, essentially. And I said, listen, the Lord's gonna kill you. I told my father the Lord's gonna kill him. You think I won't tell you niggas that the Lord's gonna kill you? I'm not that guy that's gonna pussyfoot, right? And play games with you niggas. No. My job is to show my love for you by warning you that guess what? You niggas are playing in the street called sin. You niggas are playing in iniquity lane, right? Playing in traffic, right? And it's a big ass Mack truck coming to knock you to flatten your ass like a goddamn pancake because you're playing in iniquity way, right? You're playing on the street of sin. You're playing in transgression way. Right? The wages of sin is death. Listen, a lot of niggas don't realize that the Lord's going to kill your mama and your daddy and your favorite cousin, right? And your favorite niece and nephew. Because he's the potter and he has power over the clay. Again, that's how I know we the Israelites. The Israelites hate the prophets. The Israelites hate righteousness. The Israelites hated him that rebuketh in the gate. But you niggas claim to want to get up out of Babylon. Listen, the Most High God killed the prophet Ezekiel's wife and told the nigga he better not cry. Like, this is the God that we serve. This is the God that we dealing with. It would behoove you silly niggas to put down the goddamn blunt, right? To not be on his hit list, but to be on his good graces and stop abusing grace and making goddamn excuses. If you don't stop, if you don't put away the evil of your doings, the Most High God is going to kill you niggas. And me telling you this is love. The prophet Jeremiah, he has a whole book of Lamentations. He prophesied the destruction of Jerusalem and then had to watch it. Had to watch the aftermath thereof, and he cried. He's called the weeping prophet. Let's go to the book of Lamentations real quick. Lamentations chapter 1. Right, Lamentations chapter 1. It says, how doth the city sit solitary, that was full of people? How is she become as a widow? He that was great among the nations, and princess among the provinces, how is she become tributary? She weepeth sore in the night, and her tears are on her cheeks. Among all her lovers, she have none to comfort her. Who is her? Who is her? Who are her lovers? The Most High God says, return all ye backsliding daughters, for I am married unto you. Right? Come unto me. That's what Jeremiah prophesied, right? That's what he said in what's that, Jeremiah the 3rd chapter. Right? He's likened the daughter of Zion to a comely and beautiful woman. Right? Talking about the nation of Israel, us as a whole, we are married unto the Most High God. When we worship other gods, when niggas smoke fucking weed, you're worshiping other gods, stupid. That's why the Most High God has destroyed us. That's why we're still in goddamn Babylon, because you stupid niggas can't put down the fucking blunt. How long do you niggas want to be here? How long? How long will you simple ones when you love simplicity? Right, let's get that. These niggas, man. Proverbs chapter 1 verse 20. It says, wisdom crieth without. She uttereth her voice in the streets. She crieth in the chief place of concourse, in the opening of the gates. In the city she uttereth her words, saying, how long, ye simple ones, you silly motherfucking niggas? How long will you love simplicity? And the scorners delight in their scorning. All you silly niggas in the comments, oh, what if I go to the woods and I bring some plants and I put it in the fireplace? Trying to make an excuse because you can't put down the fucking blunt. How long, ye simple ones, will ye love simplicity? And the scorners delight in their scorning. Niggas are scorning, scoffing in the chat. And fools hate knowledge. You niggas hate knowledge. Listen, the Most High God told the prophet Isaiah to cry aloud, spare not, lift up thy voice like a trumpet, and show. Here I am showing you niggas the origins, the archaeology showing you the archaeology, showing you the history in the Bible, right? Showing you how niggas in high places were burning cannabis, getting high, and worship to other gods. But you niggas don't get it. You niggas not going to get it to the Most High God smoke your stupid ass. Turn you at my reproof. Behold, I will pour out my spirit unto you. I will make known my words unto you. You niggas don't even want to hear the word of God, which is our wisdom. This is what we're talking about. We're talking about wisdom. But you niggas are wise to do evil. A nigga know how, listen, a nigga know how to pearl the fattest blunt. A nigga know, well, you know, sour diesel. You see, sour diesel, it was a cross between this strain and that strain, right? And you know, it was this guy from New York, right? Because you know, New York got the greatest dawa New York got the greatest sour, right? A fool knows that fucking Dutch Treat is a Cannabis Cup award-winning strain. Oh, know how I know? Because I was a fucking fool like you niggas before. Till the Most High God woke me up. The Most High God told the prophet Jeremiah, now even thyself, Jeremiah, a righteous prophet, who we're reading his lamentations here, right? His weeping for the destruction of our city. He said, even you are going to discontinue from thy heritage, and you're going to serve your enemies in the land that thou knowest not. But here we are getting woken up in the last days. Woken up out of slumber. How long will ye simple ones, will ye love simplicity? And you scorners delight in your scorning. And fools, you hate knowledge. Turn you at my reproof. Behold, I will pour out my spirit unto you. I will make known my words unto you, because I have called and ye refuse. How does the Most High God call to his people? Hebrews 1 says, God who in sundry times in diverse manners, meaning in different ways. Some pull people out of fire, right? Softly, calmly. Others with fear. Nigga, we're in a fucking burning house and you niggas are goddamn sleep in the bed. Wake the fuck up. In diverse manners. Having times past spoken up to us by the prophets. That's how God speaks. He speaks through the prophets. Right? He says right here, well, not he. This is Solomon. Right? Saying, turn ye at my reproof. Behold, I will pour out my spirit unto you. Solomon was a prophet in his own right. Because Solomon is Yahawashi. Right? Yeah, he fucked up. Right? Then he fucked up as Adam. Right? But he got it right as Yahawashi. And that's the example. That's the guy whose footsteps we're supposed to follow. Yahawashi never smoked fucking weed. Watch there be some crazy breakdown. Oh yeah, Yahawashi, he smoked weed. What? The fool loves evil. Niggas are wise to do evil. Right? Turn you at my reproof. Behold, I will pour out my spirit unto you. I will make known my words unto you. Right? So Yahawah, who in times past spoke to us by the mouth of the prophets, have in these last days, again, the writer of Hebrews and the rest of the apostles thought that, the restoring of the kingdom to Israel was going to happen within their lifetime. Obviously, it did not. Here we are 2,000 plus years ago, right? Has spoken to us by his son, because he was on the scene when the writer of Hebrews, right? He was on the scene just, years prior, right? All the apostles, they saw him, right? They heard him declare the Father, right? Break down how to serve the Father, right? Show us a perfect example of how to properly serve the Father, right? And guess what? He was taken up to sit at the right hand of the Father until the Most High God gives him that dominion and the power and the glory and the crown, right? To come and liberate us. But guess what? We're not going to get liberated if you niggas don't put down the fucking blunt. We're going to continue. And actually, listen, the vision is there for an appointed time. If you niggas don't get in line and get on the bus, if you're not at the bus stop, by the time the doors of the bus close and the bus drives off, nigga, you're not getting out of here. You're going to die right here in Babylon. All you weed smoking niggas, you're all going to die. I remember this silly ass OT only pothead nigga named Aaron. Can't stand that nigga. Nigga always want to debate me on some stupid ass fucking topic. Right? Nigga is just, nigga's a goddamn fucking soothsayer, right? Just in the fucking clouds high all fucking day, clouding his fucking judgment, right? Because he has no knowledge. He does not have wisdom. He has a zeal for God, but not according to knowledge, as Paul tells us in Romans 10:1, right? Because what? Because the Most High God has called. He calls through the mouth of his prophets, right? And ye refused, and I stretched out my hand, and no man regarded. But ye have set at naught. You have disregarded all my counsel, and with none of my reproof. You didn't care what's going to happen. I will also laugh at your calamity. I will mock when your fear cometh. And I'm gonna laugh at listen, Lord willing, all praise to the Most High. I pray that I'm of that number, right? Whose name is written in the book of life. All praise to the Most High and Yahawah, right? That my name is written in the book of life, right? Let's go to Daniel chapter 12 real quick. Daniel chapter 12, right? In verse 1, it says, "At that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people. And there shall be a time of trouble which shall never, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered." This is the time of the end. We are in fourth and inches, right? We got a few seconds left in this game, and you niggas is playing around when we trying to win a championship, right? Listen, man, I live in the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia, and the Philadelphia Eagles just won the Super Bowl, right? I'm a disgruntled Giants fan. You know what I mean? You know, listen, every time the Eagles won the Super Bowl, the Most High God pivots my life, right? Last time they won the Super Bowl, the Most High God sent a car, an Edomite, to total my car as I'm on my way to go meet my old choir director about going to seminary school, people. This year, the Most High God had the Philadelphia Eagles win the Super Bowl, and all this shit has transpired. Right? I'm about to be a father. We are at the end. Okay? So I'm here, right? Us, the brothers of the house of bread, right? Here in Philadelphia, right? Where our motto is, man should not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God. Right? We're here to feed you the bread of life. Give you the waters, the living waters. But you listen, you could bring a jackass, you could bring a donkey to the goddamn water, but you can't make him drink. Y'all niggas is thirsty as all hell, right? When you blow in those fucking clouds, you goddamn soothsayers, you goddamn Inanium, right? Guess what? You get thirsty. You get cotton mouth. You niggas are thirsty. You need the living waters. And then guess what? You get the munchies, right? But you niggas want to eat goddamn Cheetos and Fritos and goddamn bullshit instead of eating the bread of life, eating the word of God, right? It says, and many of them that sleep in the dust. See, the Lord gonna kill a lot of you niggas in this time of trouble. All you weed smoking niggas, the Lord gonna kill you niggas in that time of trouble. You're gonna sleep in the dust of the earth. But guess what? When your house returns, you're gonna awake, right? There's elders who passed away. You know what I mean? There's some brothers out on the front lines. All you keyboard warriors who scoff at brothers pushing the word of God, right? Trying to push righteousness on our people. Some brothers gonna be martyrs, right? Lord willing, the ones that are martyrs, guess what? Some are gonna rise to everlasting life, right? But all you wicked niggas who can't put down a fucking blunt, all you evil elders and leaders in this community that want to hide sin and sweep shit under the rug when the Most High God is cleaning motherfucking house. Right? And some to shame and everlasting contempt. You niggas are all you leaders, all you evil motherfucking leaders in this nation, right? You niggas gonna die in this time of trouble. And I'm gonna laugh at you niggas. Lord willing, my name is written in the book of life. Right? Lord willing, I catch the first thing smoking out this bitch. Room on the chariot, chromed out 1100. What we doing? Getting money. What we doing? Getting money. Right? I stack my treasures in heaven, nigga. Right? I'm gonna laugh at you niggas. Because you were none of Yahawah's reproof. You just wanted to scoff and run your fucking mouth. Roll your blunts. Be evil. Right? And commit whoredom and fornication. And all type of idolatry and fornication. All types of perverse evil and abominations. You niggas will not be corrected because you're wise to do evil, right? A lot of you niggas, especially you leaders, you're going to be resurrected unto damnation, as Yahawashi said in John 5, right? Some to shame and everlasting contempt, right? It says, right, and this right here is the goal, right? It says, and they that shall be wise, shall shine as the brightness of the firmament. Proverbs 8:1 says, wisdom maketh a man's face to shine. And they that shall be wise, who actually keep God's laws, who do and teach people to keep the least commandments as our king, as our savior, Hamashiach Yahawah, the word of God said, if you break the least commandments and you teach men so, you're going to be called least in the kingdom. I'm sorry about, listen, I don't want to be that. Right? It says, they that be wise shall shine as the brightness of the firmament, and they that turn many to righteousness as the stars forever and ever. But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. Here we are in the time of the end. Scripture said, knowledge shall increase. Here we go, right? Many shall roll to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased. Here's knowledge being increased, right? Here's the archaeology to prove, right, that our people, right, were following the ways and being soothsayers, being goddamn sorcerers and idolaters like the fucking Philistines, right, who were burning psychoactive plants in their worship of their gods, right? The same way that the goddamn Canaanites, right, and our silly ass people following after these heathen, right? We were burning goddamn ganja, goddamn Mary Jane, goddamn cannabis on altars, getting high, right? Puffing on them clouds, getting high as a goddamn kite up in clouds on cloud motherfucking 9. The Most High God's going to kill you niggas if you don't repent. I'm here to try to turn you silly niggas, you stubborn jackasses, you stubborn mules, to righteousness. Why? I love you. Because I love my God. I love my King. And like Peter said, listen, we are not in our proper habitat. The reason why, listen, I saw a video today. The brother was like, poverty in New York look different than poverty in other places. He said, when I was growing up in New York, you know what I mean? I lived in a house, you know what I mean? My parents, I have resented my parents because they wouldn't get me the newest, Prada sneakers and the Marys and the Mermonts and the Moose and all the fashion. But niggas, my homeboy that live in the goddamn projects, he got the newest in Marys. He got the newest Montclair. He got the newest XYZ. Right? Because guess what? Us has the salt of the earth. It's not natural for us to be in goddamn squalor. That's why Lamentation says that we have embraced dunghills. Right? A nigga can be in a goddamn jets in the dunghills and still be dripping. But niggas' priorities is out of whack, right? Yahawah says, seek ye first the kingdom and its righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Those goddamn Marys, right? Those goddamn Prada sneakers. I remember I was in school, those niggas, wearing, I had like 5-6 different pair of Prada sneakers, Fendi sneakers, Gucci sneakers, right? I had all the designer. And I'm like, what the fuck? What's going on? Like, how are these niggas getting this? I'm confused. I'm confusion. Right? But niggas have embraced dunghills and have their priorities all out of whack. Instead of seeking the kingdom of God, right, niggas is trying to chase the bag, right? Instead of storing their treasures in heaven, niggas is trying to chase the bag. Niggas are doing whatever for the bag. Niggas is popping online. I made $389,000. Oh, what Ariella did wrong is she tried to play with my bank account, my Navy Federal bank account. Oh, whoopee fucking do your Navy Federal bank account. You want a fucking cookie, nigga? See, I'm storing my treasures in heaven, man. Storing my treasures in heaven, right? Trying to turn as many of y'all to righteousness, because guess what? I want to be as the stars forever and ever. But guess what? Yahawah said the first shall be last and the last shall be first. Yahawah also said that let's get it real quick, right? Let's go to Matthew chapter 24. Verse 30. Yep, Matthew chapter 40, 24. In verse 29, it says, immediately after the tribulation of those days, right? We just read about in Daniel 12, there's going to be a time of trouble, Jacob's trouble, tribulation. Immediately after the tribulation of those days, shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven. Right now, we watched the major star fall, right? We see one star crashing and burning, fucking Hoel, right? And guess what? Many more stars are going to fall. It says, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. These niggas are getting shaken, right? Niggas is paranoid. Niggas moving real wacky out this bitch, right? Niggas are paranoid because they know that they got short time. It's up for you niggas. It's up for all you evil niggas in the nation of Israel. It's up, right? Actually, boom, here we go. It's up for all you evil niggas, right? The stars are falling. It says, in the powers, what are powers? The rulers, the powers of the heavens, right? All the leaders who are on top, right? They're at the top. We're down here at the bottom, right? We're supposed to be following them, right? So the powers of the heavens will be shaken, right? And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn. And then shall the Son of Man be coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of the trumpet. And they shall gather together what? His elect from the four winds and from one end of the heaven to the other. Right? But again, let's go back to Daniel chapter 12. Right? It says, many, right? The ones that are going to be delivered, right? By Michael, who's the chief or the archangel, right? Shar-Ashwan, right? The chief prince. What does it say? It says that at that time, right, he's going to stand up for our people, right? It says, and at that time, thy people shall be delivered. Not everyone. Everyone that shall be found written in the book. And many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake. Some everlasting life, right? I know these niggas hate me, right? All these evil niggas, they hate me. And I love it. I love it. I want to make fucking snow angels, right? In the hate that you bitch ass niggas give. I love it. You know why I love it? Because Yahawashi said, blessed art thou when men shall revile you and speak all manners of evil against you. And woe unto you when men shall speak well of you. For so did their fathers, the false prophets. Right? There's a lot of false prophets, a lot of wolves in sheep's clothing. Niggas want me to warn the fucking wolf. When my job is to watch after the sheep, watch after my little brothers and sisters, that the good shepherd, our King Yahawashi, right, tasked me and tasked other brothers, right, of a similar mind to feed you. He said, if you love me, feed my sheep. You got niggas trying to feed you goddamn GMOs, feed you fucking poison. Why? Because they're wolves in sheep's clothing, right? So these niggas hate me. Niggas might try to fucking kill me. I don't give a fuck. Fuck you niggas. I don't give a fuck. Blow your best motherfucking shot, nigga. Niggas out here shooting fucking bullets that's supposed to have my name on it, but niggas is ducking behind subliminals. Throw your fucking best shot, nigga. Listen, if I catch fight, it's gonna be direct. Fuck you, evil niggas. Right? It says some to everlasting life. So if niggas kill me, Lord willing, I'll be resurrected unto everlasting life. Right? Listen, the Most High God protect me and keep these bitch niggas away from me, keep my edges contagious. That's okay with me, right? If the Most High God do that, listen, whatever's in his will, let it be done, right? But some, all you evil niggas, the Most High God gonna kill you niggas in this day of trouble, right? Some of you niggas gonna be raised to everlasting shame and contempt. Those that shall be wise, that's why I made a call for all the young brothers, all the Calebs and the Joshuas, right? All the young brothers, right? Who are on the front lines, pushing righteousness, teaching our people to keep the commandments, right? It says, them that shall be wise shall shine as the brightness of the firmament, and they that turn many to righteousness as the stars forever and ever. Right? The house said the first shall be last, and the last shall be first. He said the powers of the heavens shall be shaken, and the stars shall fall. Right? And new stars are going to arise. Right? Shout out to my brother shanyam-ishar. Right? Let me bring something out real quick on my Instagram. Watch this. Boom. All right, let's go. Boom, boom, boom. Watch this, right? So my brother right here, right? He had on a shirt that said Journey to the Stars, right? And he quotes Revelation 2, right? Let's get it real quick. Right, let's get Revelation 2. Revelation 2 and 28, right? Is the what he quoted. It says, and I will give him the morning star, right? Which is Yahawashi. But when we pull up right here, start right here, verse 24, it says, but unto you I say unto the rest of Thyatira, as many as have not this doctrine, and which have not known the depths of Satan. Or you pothead niggas, you know the depths of Satan. You worshiping Satan. You're not worshiping Yahawah. It says, as they speak, all you evil niggas who've been sweeping shit under the rug for decades, right? All you niggas who are holding on to fucking evidence, right? Against evil niggas, right? You niggas are just doing what America and Russia did during the Cold War, right? Not letting them nukes fly, because guess what? Usually it's sure destruction. You niggas ain't low, right? It says, I will put upon you none other burden, but that which ye have already, hold fast to life. And what do we have? We have the knowledge of self, right? We have the recipe, right? We have the recipe, right? Keeping the commandments, maintaining faith in Mashiach Yahawashi, enduring to the end. That's the recipe for success, right? Joshua 1:8 says, you know, this book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth, right? If we do them, then we should have good success, right? What's the success that we're looking for? We're looking for the kingdom. We seek for a better country, right? Listen, I'm tired of living in this place where we're eating defiled bread amongst the Gentiles. Listen, a lot of your mattress is toxic. The furniture is toxic. The air is toxic. The water is toxic. Everything around us is toxic. Why? Because we sinned against God and didn't keep his commandments. And that it was a demonstration and an attestation of our lack of faith. A lot of you niggas don't have faith. And that's why your works don't match up, because faith without works is dead. You don't have the faith, so you don't have the willpower, the battery in your back to actually do the good works, right? It says, I won't put any other burden on you, but hold fast to what you have until I come. And he that overcometh and that endureth to the end, the same shall be saved. Matthew 24:13. And keepeth my works unto the end. To him will I give power over the nations. Do you niggas want power over the nations? Or do you want the nations to still have power over us? Then put down the fucking blunt. Stop being goddamn evil. Right? Stop getting mad at the truth. Listen, how are you niggas claiming to be in the truth and don't want the truth to come out? Because you niggas are full of it, right? Verse 27, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron. I cannot wait to rule these heathen with a rod of iron. Lord willing, I'm of that number. As a vessel of a potter shall they be broken to shivers, even as I received of my father. And I will give him the morning star, right? So the brother, you know what I mean, right? Put, boom, journey to the stars, Revelation 2:28, right? I said, journey to the stars, word to Daniel 12:3. Let's go back to Daniel 12:3, okay? Daniel 12:3, and they that shall be wise shall shine as the brightness of the firmament, and they that turn many to righteousness as the stars of heaven forever and ever. That's the goal. Trying to make a journey to the stars by turning many to righteousness, by crying aloud, sparing not, lifting up my voice like a trumpet, and not giving a good goddamn what you silly niggas feel, right? Imagine that, right? Imagine a doctor caring what the goddamn patient, the patient who don't know shit about fuck, right? A patient whose goddamn arm is goddamn broken. Oh no! Don't put my feet. Don't put my tibia, right? Don't put my ulna or my radius back in place. Niggas walking around with broke legs, got a broke ass femur, trying to walk, bro. Your fucking femur's through your goddamn thigh. Let me put it back in place, right? Let me put a cast on it and sit your ass in this wheelchair. Nope, niggas don't want to get healed. The healing comes from taking heed to the word of God. And many of you niggas, you don't want to be healed. You want to know why? Because it's just not in the cards for some of you niggas. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 6. Isaiah 6 and verse 8. It says, and also I heard the voice of the Lord saying, the voice. When you hear someone's voice, you hear what? You hear words. I heard the voice of the Lord. Now, this is not the Tetragrammaton. Right? It says, Adonai, voice of my Lord. Amar Ahmayah. Right? So, this is Yahawashi because the seraphim, right, flies with the coal on Isaiah's mouth. It says, thine iniquity is taken away and that sin is purged. That's Hamashiach Yahawashi. Right? It says, and I heard the voice of my Lord, Adonai, saying, whom shall I send? And who will go for us? Who is his Lord? The same Lord that in Psalms 110 that's sitting at the right hand of Yahawah. It says, the Lord said unto my Lord, right? Yahawah said unto Adonai. It's the same word here in Isaiah 6 and 8. Right? I heard the voice of Adonai. He heard Yahawashi speaking, saying, whom shall I send? Right? Right? The word for send is the word shalach. Right? When we say shalach mawach wa'ayam wa'aynasham lababal, right? We're saying send death and destruction to Babylon. Right? The apostles are called shalachanya, right? Right? Which means sent out ones. That's what an apostle means, right? Whom shall I send? Yahawashi sent out the apostles, right? But who sent Yahawashi? Yahawah sent Yahawashi. That's the order, right? Whom shall I send, and who will go for us? Then said I, here am I, send me. Right? When I was sitting on that couch, watching, taking notes, I said, listen, I got to do that. I got to do what I've seen these brothers do on the street corners, right? And I got to bid my people to the marriage so that we can get the fuck up on out of here. So I said, here am I, send me. And he said, go and tell this people, hear ye indeed. A lot of you niggas want to hear the words that are coming. Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? A lot of you niggas aren't going to get it. Why? Because your dense is all hell. Right? It says, go and tell this people, hear ye indeed, but understand not. And see ye indeed, and perceive not. Right? Here's the fucking evidence. Here's the evidence. See ye indeed. But what? But perceive not. Make the heart, the minds of this people fat. And make their ears heavy. And shut their eyes, lest they see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and understand with their heart, and convert and be healed. Trying to put some ointment on you niggas' wounds. But you niggas, no. Niggas refusing care. It is what it is. It is what it is, right? So, going back to this whole, weed smoking shit, right? Let's go back to Isaiah chapter 2. Isaiah 2 and verse 6. It says, therefore thou hast forsaken thy people, the house of Jacob. Why? It says, I'm reading right here in the NKJV, because they are filled with eastern ways. What eastern ways? Oh, that of the Elamites, that are those of Mesopotamia, right? That of the heathen, right there. They're following Eastern ways instead of our ways, the ways that the Most High God gave us to us alone. The Lord showed his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel. As for these nations, they had not known them. Praise ye Yahawah, not praise ye Baal, not praise ye Shiva, not praise ye goddamn Ashur, because that's where the Assyrians, right? Ashur in the Hebrew, right? Or as we see in the Bible, Ashur, right? They had a city named Ashur, and one of their patron deities is someone is a god by the name of Ashur. Not praise ye Ashur, right? This is why the Northern Kingdom was following after the Assyrians, after Ashur, right? We were following the ways of who? Of the Chaldeans, the Kashadim, right? Abraham's nephews, like great nephews. These people who are not a people, right? We follow the ways of these idiots, right? Following the ways of the goddamn. Imagine following the ways of a nigga with a red dot on his head, right? Y'all put a one in the chat if you ever watch Super Ray 14K on YouTube. Put a one in the chat. Right? So you know how Super Ray be getting on Elam with their goop scoop. Imagine following the ways of goop scoop eating niggas. That's what our people have been doing. Following the ways of goddamn goop scoop eating niggas. Niggas who goddamn worship Shiva. Right? Watch this. Fair use. Fair use. Watch this.
Hindus to connect with the divine. It's a small clay used by many Hindus to connect with the divine. It's a small clay or stone used by many Hindus to connect with the divine. It's a small clay or stone pipe that's used to smoke ganja. And it's said that Mahadev, the great god Shiva, who is often depicted with
No, see, I got the dirty dreadlock. The dirty dreadlock. That's what Shiva had, right? And nigga used to smoke weed. And this is why goddamn Benjamin, silly ass, right? Want to be a goddamn Rastafari, right? With goddamn dirty little dreadlock, them, right? And a puff on gas.
Shalom in his hand, introduced ganja to humanity as a means for us to reach higher states of consciousness. And
which goes into, you know how the Indians get down with the chakras and these higher levels of, you go from your base chakra to your top, all this nonsense, right? This is what this is the people that we want to fucking follow.
Believe that smoking ganja through a chillum can help him connect with Shiva and attain higher states of spiritual clarity or deepen their meditation. In the Atharva Veda,
they want to get higher. They want to be in the goddamn clouds. Deeper spiritual meditation, right? Psalms 1 says, blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor sit in the seat of scorners, but his delight is in the law, in the Torah, the thawadath of Yahawah, and in his thawadath, his Torah, his law, doth he meditate day and night, not in goddamn Gandhi and fucking Shiva.
Believe that ganja is one of the 5 sacred plants that was created by Lord Shiva himself for the benefit of all mankind. As the smoke from the chillum rises, it is said to carry the prayers and intentions of the smoker up to the heavens, where they can be heard by the gods. The chillum is seen as a conduit between the physical and the spiritual world. If you want to learn more about Hinduism, follow me.
No, don't learn more. Don't follow this nigga, right? Follow Yahawah and Yahawashi, right? Don't follow the word of God. Not this nonsense, right? Well, again, what do niggas do when they puff past and they blowing clouds, right? We went into the hemorrhoids, right? Arad, right? Where niggas was goddamn puff smoking on gas, right? Inhaling clouds of marijuana smoke. Niggas, niggas coughing, right? C&D, but some of you niggas are gonna perceive not, right? But again, right here, the brother, you know what I mean? Listen, we trying to get to the stars, family. We trying to get exalted back to our proper places as the kings and the princes and the princesses and the priests of God over the heathen. We're trying to get put back in our rightful place. But a lot of you niggas want to stay in captivity because you can't put down the fucking blunt, right? Listen, we trying to make a journey to the stars, word of Daniel 12 and 13. All right. But yeah, family, that's it on the topic of marijuana, Mary Jane being a sin. Smoking of marijuana is a sin. Okay. It's no longer the Shabbat here. So again, make sure you guys support the sister Masala, right, and Alazar's children, right, by donating to her GoFundMe. The link should be in the description, right? Also putting it here in the chat, right? I mean, if you want to get dripped like the brother right here, you know, I mean, you want to get dripped like the brother, right? Listen, right? All right, hold up. So here we are. Oh no, it went away. Right, boom. But listen, the brother got these fire tassels, right, from yours truly, Gedalia Ariala, right? You know what I mean? Listen, you can keep the laws of God and be fly too, right? So tap in with me here, Gedalia Ariala. Get your bust down tassels, right? Make sure you check out Perpetual War .shop, right? Perpetual War Apparel, right? This is me and the brother Mayasha Allah's clothing line. We got the EDK Obadiah 118 shirt, right? We got the Fear of Yahawah joints, right? Got the Sit in the Dust Hebrew Department shirt. You know what I mean? Various colors. Okay. Right, got the Matawathya ball shirt. So we got the Gedalium and the ZZ, right, through the spirit, right? So keep God's commandments, right? And be fly doing it. So check out perpetualwar.shop and perpetualwar.shop. The link is in the description. We got some heat coming, some new heat coming, right? We got some shorts coming, Hebrew department shorts coming, right? Very, very soon. So tap in with us, family. Also, how could I forget, right? Listen, get you a copy, right, of the Hebrew Israelite Bible, right? The HIB, the Hebrew Israelite Bible, okay? Right, you see right here, it says we are closed for the Shabbat, right? Had to close it down, right? It's past 8:30 now. We're open for orders, okay? So tap in with us at HIBofficialzion.com. Get a copy of your very own Hebrew Israelite Bible. Where is that? Oh, now leave it. I guess I did. But yeah, family, tap in with us. You know, keep the commandments of God, learn the word of God. Right. Make sure you subscribe. Hold on. Make sure you subscribe to House of Bread Camp. House of Bread Camp. Right. We have been live streaming, simulcasting here. Right. Make sure you guys subscribe to this channel. All right. But yeah, family, with that, I want to give all praises, all glory, and all honor to the Most High God, whose name is Yahawah. Of course, I do so in the name of his only begotten Son, Mashiach Yahawashi, who the world inwardly calls Jesus Christ. Until next time, pray brothers and sisters were edified. Shalom and Matawathya Yasharahla.